It is the homemade broadcast, episode 553. My name is Will Kuncz, and we have a very amputated Anna Hummel here.
Hi.
She were in a terrible accident, I understand, on the way
Yes.
here. You've lost limbs, but you're still here. Oh, my God, you just disappeared in entirety there.
Yes. All right, I'm coming back. I think the red sweater's the opposite of green and something like that, and
maybe
just not picking up. It's just not good. I'm coming in and out, but you can hear me, and that's all that matters.
That's true. That's true. Well, welcome to the program. It is the homemade broadcast. My name is Will Kuncz. This is Anna Hummel, live on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook right now. HMBradio on Facebook, willsyoutube.com, and Rumble HMBradio. If you're listening on Radio St. Pete, you can join us there Wednesdays live at 6 p.m. Maybe 7 soon. I don't know. I still haven't decided. I put up a poll because of the Bones news schedule that maybe people would like, live content that is I can't look at you. It's kind of Bone affiliated.
My world. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I put up a poll and it said like nobody really cares either way. It seems everything's the same. Keep it the same. Move it to 7. Nobody cares. Nobody has a strong preference.
I mean, I do. I prefer the earlier hour.
You do?
Yes, that would be
Try
nice.
scooting forward a little bit. Let's see if that works. Live, I think that's better. Oh, no, it's worse. It's worse for some reason. Why is it doing this?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, I don't understand. HMBradio.substack.com. By the way, we did an extra bonus episode this past week. You can get on Substack if you subscribe there. Full audio only. 45 minutes we did about the
sports.
NFL being potentially rigged, so we don't have to talk about that.
You didn't see me flex.
No, I don't know what's going on with your attire,
dude,
but it doesn't fit well with whatever's going on here in the Oval Office where we broadcast from now. Because we got press passes.
We sure do. Apparently, they're opening it up to podcasters and social media influencers.
That's right.
Which is, I was thinking, like, why does that bother me? And then I'm like, no, this shouldn't bother me. That's cool. That'd be awesome if Theo Vaughn was asking the president question or the press secretary questions. So
yeah,
the more I think that would be great. Actually, now that I think
I'm a fan as well. I wish you know what I think it is. You're not properly lit. Do you want to try to hold it down for a second while I go grab the light?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can just stay on my mic.
You can stay on your mic.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh God, I want to tell a crazy story, but it's probably not appropriate for the Radio St. Pete hour, which, by the way, we will be at Localtopia on February 22nd. Localtopia. It's this big festival, I guess you would call it, in St. Pete. Where, maybe that's better. Maybe.
I think that works.
I feel like this is making me look fat.
Now
but at least you can see me.
Yeah. It also is making me look fat. So don't worry.
Yeah. So Localtopia, if you are around the St. Pete area, come by and say hi. Will's going to be there, and you are going to meet, for God's sakes, you're going to meet Nanette Weiser because she's such a big fan of yours. She thinks you're fabulous.
Yeah.
She says that a lot. Now I started saying it again. It's fabulous.
I like
fabulous.
That. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting her. I have some beef with the Localtopia event coordinator. Ooh. Old beef that I don't even think I should bring up because I don't want to jeopardize.
I'm going to see her tomorrow in the morning.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll just leave that there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it's settled. It's what's done is done. Although you did ask me about this person, and I became enraged.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I was going to bring up such feelings. But this was circa when, like 10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. But he clearly hasn't forgotten. It seems like the wounds are fresh.
Feels like yesterday. Yeah. Will we have E-Rock? Yeah, I think so.
I believe, yes, we will at 6:30.
At 6:30, I believe Erik will be joining us for Insider. I wanted to talk to him just because of his radio experience and find out what he's doing. And I have some interesting, well, perhaps maybe not interesting, but some things to bring up with him. So, I mean, you know him, so I'm kind of going to let you take the lead on that. Yeah.
He's a cool dude. I'm glad that you guys are like the meeting of the minds.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, should be good. So that should be at 6:30. We'll see. Substack, hmbradio.substack.com. I think I already brought that up. Go subscribe there. You can get it for free. You can get the free portion that Radio St. Pete gets on Sunday right now. So I put it up there, the free version, if you missed it, if you're an audio only person like me. And then you can subscribe. It helps support the show. hmbradio.substack.com. And 813-693-2124. I believe I found a solution. We were trying to figure it out just before we got on air.
Solution?
A final solution to calls. So we might be able to take some phone calls as early as next week. We tried to figure it out, but we had 2 minutes. So I just said, forget it. We'll do it next week. So that should be 813-693-2124. You can leave texts or voicemails there. Got a really interesting exchange that I think I'll save for when Erik joins us, just from people that are really nice and then really mean. Like,
are you talking about SBK?
No, actually I'm not. But just people who listen to the show, it's just weird, the dynamics.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the people who consume your product and love you and then all of a sudden hate you, like in the next week.
Yeah, I kind of have, it's not something similar. It's more of like a juxtaposition. It's probably not appropriate for the show, but I'm going to try to do it. I was having thoughts yesterday at jiu-jitsu as I was chest to chest and essentially scissoring a 13-year-old boy.
Must have been a joy for him.
Yeah, and I remember looking at him and I was like, how old are you? I got paired up with him. It wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
And he looked really young, but he was massive. He was big boy, like 5'11" maybe. And I was like, how old are you? And he goes, 13. And I said, you're kind of big for that age, right? He goes, yeah, I get that a lot. I'm like, okay. And
like big as in tall or fat?
Yes,
Okay.
yes to both, but
Tall,
mostly
fat kid.
tall, just
Nice.
big. And the thing about like jujitsu and puberty especially is a lot of times if you're a beginner, which he kind of wasn't, I didn't know that, but you're awkward, you're spazzy. And if you're really big, you could kind of hurt someone who's my size.
Sure.
So I was a little bit apprehensive. And, you know, the instructor is telling us to get in a certain position. It's called half guard, but I call it chest to chest, half scissoring. And I remember I'm holding this position so the kid can do the exercise. And I'm thinking to myself, context really matters. Because if he was like, hey, mom, went to school today, I was chest to chest, half scissoring the teacher. Hey, mom, I was chest to chest, half scissoring the piano instructor. You know, all these things are wrong. But if he was like, hey, mom, I was half scissoring chest to chest with this grown woman at jiu-jitsu, no one calls the cops.
That's true.
So context matters.
It'd also be if you asked the dad, he would just ask if he finished.
Right.
Dads don't really care.
No.
Moms would be more upset.
Right.
It's an unfortunate but true thing in our culture. So I do have a few things, Anna, to bring up before Erik joins us, maybe.
Yeah.
You didn't go to Gasparilla, right?
Oh God, no.
Have you ever been?
I was there with you. So
that's right.
But you were blacked out. So
well, no, I remember.
2019.
Yeah.
I ended up leaving the entire group and just drunkenly finding my way to my best friend's house because she had a bathroom. God bless her.
Oh, that's the best.
But it was the worst. I hated the parade and I'm waiting in line. And you know me, I have to pee. Same with you every 5 minutes. And it's like a 20-minute wait to just a S box. I was just like, I got to get out of here. This is bad. Bad.
Yeah, when we went, we went to my friend's girlfriend's at the time house, and we were kind of like on the outskirts because we were, you know, the friend of the boyfriend.
Yes. And
nobody kind of knew who we were in their group. So like I went in to use the bathroom a few times and kind of got some dirty looks, and then I had to be like, I'm with so and so. And they would go, okay.
But
who's that?
But what was even worse is that I said that I was with you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
No one knew who you were. I'm like, oh, I'm friends with Will. They're like, this is a girl's house.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm going to use the bathroom anyways. So please move.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, then, everything went okay, but it was not the most comfortable of situations. And then the nightmare, I don't know if they have that figured out yet, but I remember just waiting in line and getting in a fight with some drunk girl because she cut in line for the porta potty.
Can't
And
do
I
that.
I was going to pee my pants. So I couldn't let it go down. I mean, part of me was, yeah, being a gentleman, not even a gentleman, being chivalrous. I guess this is a lady who has to pee, and but we all have to pee, and we're in the age of equality now, and this is what you wanted. So no, you got to go.
Well, if men always let women go before them in the bathroom, they would never be able
We'd
to go to
never
the
go.
bathroom.
Exactly. You have to draw the line.
Exactly.
We're living in a society here, so we have to. Unfortunately, you got to go to the back of the line, sister.
Unfortunately, we have to do equality, which sucks sometimes for us ladies. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. So that was the last time that I went. The first time I went was one of the best times of my life, and that was the first time I ever used. Are you allowed to say drug names?
I was just about thinking the same thing myself. Do you want me to say it?
Well,
cocaine.
That's better. Yeah, my friend who's now dead gave me of a drug overdose.
R.I.P.
Yep, gave me that, and I had the best day of my life. It was freaking awesome. Thank God I did, because I had to drive home. Now, this is not something that I would do normally. I was very young and very stupid, but I really do credit that substance for getting me home after just drinking all day. And that's part of the reason why I don't go now, because I know that there's a young man who is using that substance for the first time and has been drinking all day long and isn't as lucky and as skilled as I was back then, who's probably on the road and will kill somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth for me to do that. And then you get all the, you're just around a bunch of drunk people. The parade, you're right, it's not that great. You get these beads that are garbage. It's just plastic beads that are not fun. As soon as you get home, you don't know what to do with them, and they end up in the water. Now they're telling me don't throw them in the water. This is a story I pulled up, but it's just not. I don't know if I'm aged out. I don't even know if I was ever aged in.
No,
though,
you
for
were.
something like that.
You were, and I don't think you're. Maybe you're aged out. I don't know. Every time I go on like a live stream of Gasparilla, there seems to be quite an older bunch of people. Like
there is
a lot of gray hair.
Yeah,
a lot of people in their 50s and 60s that are just drunk off their A and their B.
Yeah.
I too had a very similar experience with drug use at my first Gasparilla, but I got to do it with a porn star.
Oh, nice.
Who used to frequent the Johnny B show.
Heck yeah.
May I shout her out?
Yeah, please.
Her name was Jaden Snow. Did you ever meet her?
I don't believe I did. I didn't have the pleasure.
She had wonderful breasts that I would often take pictures of because she was topless all the time.
Nice, nice.
And she gave me that substance. And I remember I thought I was hallucinating because, by the way, it is not a hallucinogenic drug, but I was also drunk and I have an astigmatism. So it's kind of hard to tell what's what.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this drug and I'm looking at her. And she has her breasts on display, like covered, but on display.
Was she a big gal?
No, tiny, like way smaller than me. Like I'm like fun size. She's like bite size.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking at her face, and you'd think I'd look at her breasts, but I'm just staring at her face. I can't stop looking at her chin, and I ended up leaving. And the guy I was dating at the time, I go, did she have stubble or am I high? And he goes, she had stubble.
Oh.
She had stubble.
Oh.
Like all over, like a mustache and on her chin, like dark black coarse hair.
Oh.
Like
not the
5
blonde.
o'clock shadow.
Not just the blonde.
She was obviously, maybe, I don't know if it was some sort of hormonal imbalance or maybe she was taking testosterone, HRT. I don't know, but she had stubble. Confirmed.
Wow.
So yeah, best time ever is what I was trying to say.
It is a good time. I don't think I can do it anymore. I don't really want to. I don't really have a desire to do it, but it's a fun one. You want to just like drink your head off all day.
Do you? Okay. if you can think back to like your glory days when going out was just so much fun and now it's just not at all, do you think anything could ever be that level of fun again? Because I have fun in I have like more calm, stable fun, which is like, oh, for example, I went with Nanette and my dear friend Fiona. We went for coffee, right?
Yeah.
On Sunday, and it was lovely and it was fulfilling. But you don't get that like crazy spike in dopamine that you used to get when you were just like out crazy. It's also you were maybe single. I was like younger, better looking. Like it was just more fun. Now, if I go out, I'm like, I was 18 when you were born. That's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what happens is because you brought up the older folks that are at Gasparilla, and that's true. There are a lot of, and I think what those people are rich people who live there, who live on the parade route, or they know somebody who owns a house and they go and hang and do like day drinking and then like pass out and then wake up at like, their normal time of 5 a.m., 6 a.m. and go home to kind of beat the traffic. But I think it just kind of evolves into like an earlier boozing time, because they're up until, I don't know, 6-7 years ago for me, maybe a little less, 5 years ago, wouldn't even leave the house until 11
to go
11
out.
p.m. to go out.
Oh yes.
Like it was insane to go out. Now I'm like, I'm too tired. Like there's no way I could leave the house at 11
to do that. I remember my dear friend Deba came to visit. This was in 2019. What are we in 2025? 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We left the house at 11 p.m., got there at 11:30 and had like a full night out till 3 a.m. And now to leave the house at 11 seems preposterous.
Oh, totally absurd. Yeah, absolutely.
Why would I do that?
If it's not 8 p.m., I'm out. And I like to be home by midnight if I do go out. I don't want to be out till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
I got a rule. It's like a soft rule, but it's kind of a rule. I don't mind if I'm out during the day and I stay out till night, but to leave when it's dark is just a no from me. Like I don't want to leave. Like it's dark and now it's time to go. Absolutely not. But again, if I'm out and I stay out, no problem. But to leave the house when it's dark seems like an abomination, and I'm against it.
Yeah. What about in the winter where the daylight savings kicks in? It's like 5:30.
It's bedtime.
5:30.
It's bedtime now.
Thank God it's starting to get darker later. Yeah. Like now it's 6:18 and it's still kind of blue sky.
Mm-hmm.
You can still kind of see out there. Not pitch black at 5:30. That is the absolute worst. I don't know how much it would change even if they did do that daylight savings deal. Want
to change it by an hour?
Well, yeah, I guess so. But still, so now you're talking pitch black at 5:15. Now it's like 6:50. I guess that would be better.
But it would just get lighter. So then it'd be like dark at 8 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I wouldn't like that either. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I guess there is no good compromise.
I would prefer that, but that's just me.
Yeah, and then it gets too hot to even be outside. You have the daylight, but it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
It
is what it is.
Life's not fair. But if you did go, leave a comment. I do see the comments coming in. A good way, folks, to get those read is to super chat them. We do have that function. It's also a good way to support the show. Thank you for doing that. Some of you do that. But I do see the comments coming in. I'm doing my best to monitor those. I'm my own producer here and host, so I'm trying to keep track. And I like that. That's great that there is, people here. Thomas, we got Joe, of course. We got Joe again, Mark in Sarasota. We got Garrett, of course, good old Gare Bear, and others. McShay's here. Oh my God, from poor McShay, Buffalo, New York.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
I thought he died.
No.
Oh my God,
around.
I'm so glad you're alive, McShay.
He's still kicking.
Did he ever call in, or was he just like a tweeter?
I think he was more of a tweeter. I think he has called in the past on the shows, but yeah, I feel bad for McShay. We did a video, McShay, so go check it out about the NFL potentially being rigged. That you might enjoy.
Oh, right. I forgot about the Buffalo.
We connected the lines in that video, Anna, to Taylor Swift. Essentially, this is Taylor Swift's fault. So, thank you. So yeah, if you want to super chat, you can do that. willsyoutube.com. So if you did go, What do you remember getting the beads? Like, what did you do with the beads? It's not just Gasparilla. It's many other parades have the
I think
beads.
I kept them in my room for like a year because I was like, oh, I want to remember it. And then I saw them and I was like, I'm throwing this away
This
immediately.
is plastic.
This is trash.
I hate plastic.
Why did I keep trash?
I don't know. I hate plastic. I really do. I know it serves a function and a purpose. And I think it should be used in a limited basis, but like you stupid water bottle, I hate these stupid water bottles. And then I learned about the microplastics. Everybody has,
BPAs.
yeah, the microplastics that are in your body because how they recycle the plastic is it just doesn't get. I thought it kind of got melted down or something with heat, and then
It's
they
like
put it
not chemically bound to the water bottle. So like if it heats up in like your car or in the microwave, it'll get released into your food, and now you're made of plastic.
So they grind it up. It's like ground up and then kind of formed into some sort of. And then what happens is that they can't catch all that microscopic pieces of plastic, and then they rinse it with water. So then it just ends up in the water supply. I hate plastic. And that's what all these beads are. I remember I would keep mine because I'm like, you know what I'm going to do?
Cut them up and feed them to the pigeons?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to save them for next year.
Ooh.
Or next parade. So they would go in a junk drawer, and then I would forget, obviously, that I had these things. And I had years of beads, plastic beads accumulating in this drawer. And then I threw them in the freaking garbage. So they ended up in a landfill. Plastic. Again, just clogging everything up. So you shouldn't do that either. Apparently you can recycle them, supposedly. The city of Tampa's Department of Solid Waste is urging attendees to take their unwanted beads to their designated collection sites.
Who is going to do that?
Nobody, which is really unfortunate. So
No
all
one
that
is gonna
freaking
do that.
plastic is going to be in the landfill. It's going to be in the
I
water.
didn't realize this was such a trigger for you.
I hate it. It's
environmentally
a recent,
friendly will.
I'm always was.
I know, but like I can tell you're passionate about it.
Yeah, I am. Genuinely. I just hate plastic. Will you do me a favor? Yeah, she's going to close the door. So if you want to go and take the beads to their designated collection sites where the beads can be cleaned, repackaged, or reused for their next parade session, you can do that. Through the Bead Free Bay Initiative, the sites will serve as the recycling effort to keep Tampa waters from being polluted. Beads can be harmful to the environment and animals and never decompose. I hate plastic. So you could do that through Monday, January 27th through May 25th at the Kate Jackson Community Center in Tampa, the Loretta Ingram Recreation Complex, also in Tampa. All these are in Tampa. Copeland Park Center, McDonald Training Center. You can do that. The city asked for beads to be dropped off alone, as costume props and general trash will not be accepted. Who's just getting nude and just putting it in a bag and taking it there? Starting in 2018, the bead reuse program has processed nearly 21,000 pounds of beads. So I guess people are doing it some. For more information, you visit tampa.gov/beadfreebay. But you know that 95% of people just chuck them in the water because they don't know. Yeah.
In the water?
In the bay.
In the bay?
Sure.
That's terrible. I thought you meant in the trash. Maybe it ends up in the same spot, but
well, you're hammered. You got all these beads. Well, you might be right. People might take them home and then throw them in the garbage.
Take them and then you go, why am I wearing
this? But there's definitely some people.
Oh, of course.
Who take them and chuck them into the water.
Did I don't know if I watched this with you, but there was like a diver that went into Hillsborough River and just like dug up all this trash. It's nasty, but a lot of it was beads.
Yeah.
Like years and years of beads build up.
That's what I mean. It's a stupid freaking plastic. I hate it. I hate it a lot. Apparently the Florida Aquarium will also take them. They take part in it and they'll offer you 50% off your general admission tickets when you drop off
them to the
beads.
dolphins.
Yeah. They can be dropped off anytime, 9:30 through 5, now through February 16th. So that's nice. But yeah, no Gasparilla for me. I don't anticipate that. I asked Julia, my partner. I know people hate that. I'm not gay. She is a woman, but I call her my partner because I'm very progressive and I care about the environment. If she wanted to go, because she's from North Carolina, and she responded with what?
Wait, sorry. She said she wanted to go.
No, I asked her, would you like to go? Because it's kind of like a Tampa thing, and she's been here many years now, 5-6 years, I think. But
she said hail to the no.
She said F no, but said the word.
Yeah.
Says no interest in doing that. I would I'm looking forward to maybe as I start to, now I'm middle-aged officially, moving into the next 10 years, hopefully some of my friends start getting homes, maybe on
that's the only way to
Bayshore.
do it.
Then I'll go.
I actually did have a connect there this year, and I still didn't want to go.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like a big house. I knew a girl who had a condo, and I was invited to go hang out with them. But then just the thought of parking and trying to leave, it was just not going to happen.
You couldn't park on the premises?
I mean, you have to go the night before.
Yeah.
You can't
and
go
Uber's a nightmare too.
Yeah, right. So I was just and also I don't want to go. If I really wanted to go, I'd make it happen and deal with the headache, but I don't want to go.
Close enough friends that you could stay the night?
I don't know, because there's probably 10 other people that were invited, and it was a 2-bedroom condo.
Oh no.
One of those.
Yeah.
So
maybe
not.
Floor, but that's your best bet.
Yeah.
And that sounds, oh my gosh, I used to do that all the time, just crash out on the floor. But that sounds like a complete there's no way.
Still.
There's no way.
It's carpeted.
Yeah, you get on a little dog bed in there. You fit nice. You fit nice on a nice golden retriever size dog bed. That would be great for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just curl up in a little ball, sit on there. That'd be great. We do have a few more things. We're kind of coming up on time here. By the way, we do do us hard out for our Radio St. Pete and podcast listeners. You can get the entire show next Sunday, or Sundays are released, willsyoutube.com, Rumble, Facebook. Go follow those pages, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe, all that type of stuff. This is one that I did see did you see this story, Anna?
I did, yes.
So this is the patient who did the carnivore diet, but I don't believe that the originator of the carnivore diet would say that he's doing it properly, because a local Tampa man, his patients filled with cholesterol after he ate 6 to 9 pounds of cheese and butter for months. Now, 6 to 9 pounds
a
of
day?
cheese.
What does that mean?
That's what I was going to ask. Is that a day, or is that 6? I mean, that's still a lot. 6 to 9 pounds, even for a few months.
Yeah.
It's pretty whack. There's his hands there. You can see him. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe it's just butter on his hands.
I mean, it's butter in his blood vessels.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange.
That's nasty.
Yeah. It's got,
I want to see the rest of them. Does he have a 6-pack?
Well, he did say initially the man said he experienced weight loss, increased energy, and mental clarity, but he ended up having to go to Tampa General after his libs began showing painless nodules. The JAMA
Journal of
American Medical
Association.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. Found that the patient's cholesterol exceeded 1,000 milligrams of cholesterol per deciliter of blood, a massive increase from the baseline 210 to 300 milligrams. For reference, the Cleveland Clinic recommends that a healthy individual should have a total cholesterol of under 200. The patient was eventually diagnosed with a condition known as, oh boy,
xantholasma.
Thank you. The buildup of cholesterol under the skin, forming yellow growths that usually appear in the corner of the eyelids. 50% of people who develop that disease have high cholesterol levels, typically occurring in people between 35 and 55 years of age. This condition is associated with, obviously, heart disease, et cetera, et cetera.
Atherosclerosis.
I want to know, what is the 6 to 9 pounds? Is that per week? Or
I don't think it was in one go. I think it was total, maybe.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I use a lot of cheese and butter, but I also mix in, my fiber and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just have, butter on my toast.
Butter is
and cheese
fine.
in my eggs.
Butter
I
is
think
fine.
It's fine, too, but maybe not.
But there's always something that's the devil, right? And if you just think about eggs and the rigmarole that eggs have been through of being healthy, then horrible, then wonderful, then terrible. Just don't eat 40 a day and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You could probably get away with eating 6, 8 eggs a day. Here's the thing, and you can look me up. For those listening, I don't think I'm wrong, but dietary cholesterol doesn't meaningfully contribute to the cholesterol in your blood.
Okay.
So if you eat a lot of cholesterol, you're not going to see elevated cholesterol levels because I think you poop most of it out.
Yeah.
Cholesterol levels in your blood comes mostly from eating too much saturated fat. Now, don't ask me any questions about the science of the molecules and the bonds and why that is. I don't know. But I do know that dietary fat doesn't really contribute to cholesterol in your blood.
What we'll do, Anna, is I've got some theories and opinions on this as well. We'll continue this in the uncensored portion. I haven't seen Erik pop up yet, so I don't know if he's going to be stopping by or not. But that's okay.
We take like a brief. Oh, he said we'll be there in about 5 to 10 minutes, finishing up dinner for the kids.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move to the. We'll say goodbye to Radio St. Pete, and we'll say goodbye to our podcast feed. iTunes, Spotify listeners. WillsYouTube.com. You can get the whole show if you missed it live on Wednesdays that following Sunday. And obviously HMBradio.substack.com. You can get the whole show in its entirety. As soon as we wrap up here, I sit and I put it on Substack, and it's there for your consumption if you're an audio-only person like me. Thank you, Garrett. He got a super chat in before we signed off. Plant-based vegan butter is better. It spreads. No. We'll talk about that in a second, Garrett. But thank you very much for the chat. Much appreciated. So thank you, Radio St. Pete and podcast listeners. Hope to see you on the Substack and WillsYouTube.com. Talk to you next week. Okay, so Garrett, no.
Margarine and stuff like that has, and I know this might be controversial, especially these days, but trans are not good for you. Trans fats are terrible for you. Those are the only kind of fats that you should avoid at all costs.
Vegetable oil? Seed oils?
Dude, I'm telling you, look at me.
Yeah.
Seed oils aren't that bad for you.
I didn't think so either, because it comes from a seed. It's like a natural thing.
I know that they're the new Hitler right now.
Yeah.
The dietary Hitler. Look, and I encourage people to not take my word for it, but look up
Take
the
RFK's.
Not even him. He would tell you seed oils are terrible for you.
I know.
But they're not that bad for you. The problem with seed oils is that, and we say this a lot on the show, correlation does not equal causation. So what people did is they go, people started eating a lot more seed oils, and over the last, say, 40 years. And since then, heart disease has gone up, cancer has gone up, Alzheimer's has gone up, like all these metabolic conditions have gone up. So it must be seed oil's fault. Well, seed oils are usually always packed into foods that have A, high palatability, so they taste really good, and B, they have a lot of calories, so it's easy to overconsume. So I know you hear lots of things from different people, and I'm constantly listening to new things about diet, exercise, nutrition, all the things. It really, of what I've consumed, it's the simplest answer, which is the problem is not so much what we're eating, but just how much of it we're eating.
Right.
Over consuming is the problem. Because here's the thing. If you were to go on a donut diet, you could lose weight. If you have 2 donuts a day, let's say that's about 700 calories, and that's all you ate, you would lose weight because you're probably eating more than 700 calories, as am I. I could lose weight on that. I would never advise anybody to do that. You'd be miserable because you'd be so hungry. So just spike your glucose, and it's not very filling, no protein. But you would lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's fine to have a donut here and there, or a piece of cake here and there, or even 2. That's fine. It just, you don't want to have 12 a day. That's when you run into problems, is the overconsumption of food. So
I think, just eating natural foods that exist is that what they're called?
Yeah, a whole food based diet. Absolutely.
So like eggs, I think are fine. Meat is fine.
Minimally processed
plants. I'm not even sure about plants anymore. In fact, I was listening to Senning the other day, and he was listening to some guy. And okay, so just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's true.
Sure.
Right. So he was listening to some doctor, and the doctor was saying that fruits, I guess Senning said he was doing the carnivore, but with fruit diet.
I have a feeling I know exactly where this is going, and I think I know who he's listening to. Do you remember the name of the doctor?
No, I don't think he even
Stephen
said it.
Gundry. Is it lectins? Is that what he was talking about?
Well, what he was saying was that fruits are okay because they're something that the plant produces, and it wants animals to eat because it spreads the seeds around. But if you're eating the plant, much like many other animals out there, plants don't want to die, so they'll produce toxins. Is this the same guy? You know this one?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably Dr. Gundry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because he and there's a few others as well. Saladino, who's like a carnivore. But yeah, there's lots of people who say that. I know what you're saying.
So, I mean, to me, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That kind of makes sense. And then I saw an Instagram reel from some guy. I don't know who it was. It seemed like he was like in the medical field or credentialed in some way, but how science had proved that plants are kind of like sentient beings and they can communicate. They have photoreceptors, not brains. They don't have nervous systems.
Could put a voodoo on you.
But they communicate with each other and like they have kind of a reason that they want to be around. They want to survive.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like not a conscious thing, but just the desire to propagate and survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So potentially eating plants could be bad for you.
It depends on the plant. I mean, some plants are poisonous.
No.
Sure.
I think it's any plant is not good for you. Is this person's class? I'm not saying it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the way he explains it, like that's interesting, and that sounds like it could be true.
What does he think we should be eating? The animal that wants to die so it can provide us with nourishment?
The animal once it's dead. Well, I guess you could say that about plants too. Like, but a plant is still alive once you rip it out of the ground, right? When is a plant actually dead? Because it doesn't have a nervous system.
That's so funny. I was actually talking to Chris about this like 2 months ago. I don't know how you determine if a plant is dead. I don't know. Because
I mean, you can tell when a plant's dead. It's like brown and shriveled up, and you go, that thing's dead.
Yeah, but oftentimes like plants look like that in the wintertime, and then
but they're not completely they're not dust when you like crush them. Yeah. They don't just disintegrate in your hands. Like they're usually brown, but there's something there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can squeeze it, like shake it.
Yeah. Does it mean like the roots aren't working? Does it mean that the trunk? I don't know. I don't know how you determine a plant is dead. Because like with humans, I mean, death means a few different things. Some people say it's when your brain stops working. Other people say when your heart stops beating. Other people say when the coroner declares you dead on the death certificate. So I don't know, but
yeah. So we don't even know when humans are really dead either, because there's still stuff going on even when you're pronounced dead. There's still biological things happening.
Yeah, like you are dying. Your cells are dying. Like you could be dead, but your cells are still alive for a brief.
Yeah, for a while. I think many hours after you're pronounced dead, and then the decomposition process starts.
Yeah,
at that point.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't. But it's an interesting theory. But I think basically what I'm trying to do is, and as you can see by my physique, it's going really well. Is eating foods that exist not from a box. Eating meat and eggs and fruits and vegetables, just because they exist in nature.
100%.
And I've heard too that eating things that exist in your habitat is really good. So shopping local and eating local plants and foods, because you're going to be more
it's fresher,
able
more
to
nutrients.
Digest them. Yeah. You're just kind of used to that.
Because you got to think like, let's just say take a tomato, for instance. When they pick it off the vine in, I don't know, Mexico, wherever these tomatoes come from, they're green, right? They're not ready to be picked yet. But by the time they pick them and box them and ship them, a week later, they're going to look like perfect ripeness.
But they suck.
They don't taste good, but they look good. And that's what's really sucky about produce, especially, is that it's not really bred to taste good or to have the most amount of nutrients. It just has to look appealing. Put some wax on it so that it's like, oh, this big shiny red tomato, even though it tastes like garbage.
Yeah, I don't want that either. Plastic and then wax too on vegetable. Can you stop that, please? I get the reason for it, but we all know. We all know that the stuff that we're eating is garbage.
Nice, though.
I mean, it doesn't add enough for me to. And I got the vegetable wash where you squirt it on there with the lemon juice and it takes the wax off.
Really?
Because I don't want to eat wax.
I do the water thing, and that's it.
Just water, no soap?
No, I don't soap it up.
I just picture when I buy produce, I just picture some worker in the fields just like loading up a truck full of fruit and then just taking a pee in it, just peeing all over the fruit. I know they rinse it off afterwards and stuff, and
Sure.
pee's sterile, whatever.
Well, it's sterile for the person who's peeing.
Yeah,
I don't think your pee is sterile to me. It's your pee is sterile for you.
Interesting. I always thought it was kind of sterile.
And I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's look it up.
What?
While we wait for Eric. Is pee sterile? No. Oh no. Urine is not sterile, according to Google, which has this. I don't know if you noticed, but Google now has a AI companion.
The AI overview.
Yeah, the AI overview. No, urine is not sterile. Contains a small number of bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms that are normally present in the urinary tract. I thought that the what's in there? The pneumonia from the
Ammonia?
PP. Yeah, isn't pneumonia in the pee?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But that's really disappointing.
He's been drinking pee all these years, only to learn.
I haven't. It's not true. That is not true. RFK did have his, deal today. His what do you call it? Confirmation hearing.
Yeah. That was hard to listen to for,
It's just oh yeah. Yeah. He's
like, can we make this short and sweet? Elizabeth Warren, shut up.
Oh my God.
That bitch. Who is paying her off?
I saw a meme of just Pete Hegseth and Robert Kennedy,
Christy Noam,
and some other dude that's going, and it's just like images of these ladies just yelling and pointing and being super aggressive in these hearings, and they're just like, I mean, I know it's just a still shot, but oh my Lord, can you compose yourself and just ask a question? Does everything have to be performative? And I know both sides will do this, obviously, but
they demand the question be answered, and
the way they want
but they keep talking. Like they don't shut up for them to answer it. It's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to. I don't know if RFK is going to get through or not. I saw Poly Market. Are you familiar with Poly Market?
I have no idea what that is.
Poly Market is a betting site. It's banned in the United States. You can still go on it and see
betting site.
Betting. Yeah.
Oh, betting. Not like Bed Bath and Beyond betting.
Correct.
Got it.
Betting, like sports betting. Yeah, gambling. Right. And you can buy shares of if you think something's going to happen. Generally, it's pretty accurate for projecting, winners of things. And they do sports. They do
like politics. Like
they did the election. You could buy, who was going to win the election. And I almost bought. Well, I couldn't have done it because it's banned in the United States. But I was gonna buy because Kamala was cheap, and I was thinking
if this bitch wins.
Well, I was thinking maybe something dirty is gonna happen. And I just thought that he wasn't. I thought he might. We're on YouTube. I thought something might happen. Let's just put it that way. That he wasn't going to get in. So I was like, I have a little bit of money saved away. I could throw it down. It's cheap, and maybe make a nut here before the new term. That way I have some bug out money when shit really hits the fan at that point. But no, I didn't do it. But they said it's a 75% chance that RFK makes it through. What's your opinion? What's your opinion of RFK?
I think that and which is weird. I think he's pretty authentic. Like he does care.
Yeah.
I think his body shows that he does care about health, wellness, and fitness. Unlike the last thing. I don't know what that was, but whatever it was, didn't seem to look very healthy. I think that I honestly had this thought last night that we are really living, and I hate people, they overuse this term, but it really is unprecedented times where it just seems like there's just no fucking bullshit this time around. Like Trump is like trying to get rid of the IRS and like, slashing government jobs, like trying to slash the bureaucracy. RFK Jr. who is anti-vax. He's not anti-vax. He's just like, why do all these things just get on the schedule? There's like 30 vaccinations. Why are they all on the fucking schedule? We're, more unhealthy than we've ever been. We have all these chronic diseases and people are so scared for their health if something changes. It's like, dude, if you throw anything at the wall, it would probably make an improvement because we're so unhealthy as a nation. I mean, listen, I'm a fan of RFK Jr. I think he's a little bit of a dirty dog, but who isn't?
I mean, just because he cheats on his wife.
Yeah, kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, but listen, they all do. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a fan of him. I really was hoping that the hearing would be short and sweet because I do want to listen to what people have to say, but also RFK Jr.'s voice is like, nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Well, he said one thing that was very, very true, which was a lot of you people liked me 2 years ago and agreed with things that I'm saying 2 years ago. And now that,
did he change what he's saying though, or
no? It's just because of who he's potentially serving under that's his accusation there. And I don't know. I've heard RFK on podcasts and stuff, and seems pretty reasonable to me. He says I'm not anti-vaccine. He's said it a bunch of times. I saw in the confirmation hearings today. He wouldn't ban vaccines or anything. But there's things that we're doing that, like a lot of our food and shit is banned.
Red dye yellow.
Yeah, a lot of other countries don't use them.
Yeah.
It's not, and we shouldn't be eating out of, boxes like we do this like processed food, which is kind of a downside of our
modernity
economic system.
That's not just the US,
but I mean, yeah, I guess so, but it seems like it's definitely more of an issue here in this country than in other countries where they're not eating food. They're just eating out of a box with preservatives and chemicals. Like, clearly that's going to have an effect.
Deleterious
like,
effects.
Come on. Like, even you're putting these weird chemicals and stuff. And I know that you could argue that food is chemicals too. And I guess technically that's true, but, it's certainly not food in its natural state. We haven't been that long in our evolution where we can just start, just supplementing chemicals for this stuff. It's gonna have effects,
some side
and
effects,
probably negative effects. And something like, I think the majority of the country is obese now. Technically,
I think 73% of adults are overweight or obese.
How do some people not? It don't affect you.
Well,
I know you're a vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah. Well, listen, by the way, friend, I had a vegan roommate when I was living in Michigan and she was obese.
Yeah.
And her name was Alicia.
Yeah.
And she said to me, I don't understand why I'm getting so fat. She goes, I'm vegan. I said, but you ate the whole vegan pizza. Like, I was like, there was a large pizza she got from like a little ritzy vegan pizza shop. And she got whatever vegan dough with the vegan cheese and the veggies on it. And she's like, I just don't understand why I'm getting fat from this. I'm like, but you ate the whole thing, which goes back to my point that I made earlier, which was it's not necessarily like what you're eating, but what you're eating matters. But what is the bigger problem is how much you're eating.
Yeah.
If you eat one of those little Debbie Christmas things with the red dye, yellow, green, listen, is it good for you? Probably not. Is it the worst thing ever if you eat it once in a while? No, you're fine. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, and this might be controversial, but in a lot of ways, that can be your healthiest option. If you are on the brink of starvation and you haven't eaten in a month and someone presents you with a little Debbie cake, that cake could potentially save your life. You know what I mean? If you think of it in those terms, it's just calories is all that it is. Are the chemicals that great? No, but I mean, like, we take chemicals all the time. I mean,
nobody's starving here though.
Yeah, I understand, but like, my protein powder was made in a lab. My creatine was made in a lab. Like, those things are by and large pretty safe. It's really just you're over consuming calories and then you're also not moving. Yeah. You're sedentary as fuck.
Right. Well, let's bring in our guest. I see him
here?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Here. So let's bring him in. Welcome, Erik Nagel, to the program.
Hey guys, sorry for the delay. I have a kid who won't let me do anything, and I am dealing with fans of Heidi and Spencer from the Hills not liking a video I put up. So,
oh no,
I'm getting it from all sides here.
Do you just have no sympathy for them and their lost home?
No, I feel terrible for anybody that lost their home. He's I don't know. Is this still clean or dirty or what are we
No,
doing?
Oh,
you'd
you
be
be dirty
dirty.
now. Yeah.
All right. He's a dipshit. And, what he thought was being the villain on that old reality show just comes off as him being pathetic and sad. So when their place burnt down, I started to notice this guy would not stop posting on TikTok. Like every 20 minutes, he had a new video up there. And I just started following them. We were live doing our show one night and somebody said, "Did you see Spencer's video?" No. So we brought it up and he lost everything. So he's like, "So what do? You get a bag of bagels." And he's just like, it's like
He's a
anybody
content-
lost their house would have been unhinged. I get that. You're pretending to be unhinged. So you're a sociopath. So, you're trying to seem like you're crazy and distraught when you should be not pretending to be. Does that make any sense?
It
Yeah.
does.
And
most
then his whole
in a fire, it's like their only home, but for them, like they have another one.
they don't. That's the thing.
Oh,
Well,
they don't.
they lost their home. Their parents lived, I think, a couple blocks away, lost their home, and his sister lives somewhere in that neighborhood. And I knew nothing about his sister, but I've been finding out apparently they don't ever get along.
Stephanie?
See, she lost her home too.
About this shit.
I used to watch The Hills back in
Oh my
college.
God.
So their
Great.
family lost all their homes.
Yeah.
Then it turns out their parents owned a place, Santa Barbara, I want to say.
Hell yeah.
Had a place there. And he is renting that place that his parents owned. They're renting an apartment because they can't live in that house because Heidi and Spencer are now in that house with their two kids. It's just like you're sitting there like, all right, this is all kinds of crazy, but they have another house to go to. So I don't feel there's a little bit that doesn't feel bad. They have somewhere to go. His whole thing was not trying to deal with insurance, talk with investigators, find out what's going on with the government, any of that stuff. He then goes for like 8 days straight, hard in the paint, trying to push the 15th anniversary of his wife's album that flopped terribly in 2010, that they spent almost all their money they made from being reality stars into producing this thing. He's pushing that. He's trying to get people to stream it, to post it everywhere. So he gets it on number one on iTunes, number one on Spotify. He thinks she's going to be certified and this is going to make her the biggest star in the world. And he's trying to get her on the Billboard charts. And then they're like, well, you don't have anybody playing it on the radio. It's not going to go in the Billboard charts. So now he's like, oh, I got to figure out radio. So he's telling people like grassroots, call a radio station, call and request it. And I'm writing in the comments because now I'm mad. I go, it doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. You don't call and request a song and they play it for you. It just happens to be on their playlist. If you're calling to ask that song, they record you and then play it down the line when that song was originally scheduled. That's how it always worked. It's never been that way. Goes through all of this stuff. He's reaching out to celebrities to say, hey, just make a minute and what is he saying? Like a minute and 2 second video, play the song just on there. Cause then they'll make a certain amount of money for playing. And he keeps doing minute long videos. He's complaining that it's hard to talk for a minute. He starts shitting on the people in North Carolina. Cause people are saying, what about the people in North Carolina? They don't have homes. They're living in tents and trucks and they're freezing right now and all this stuff. And you guys all are in hotels and have other places to stay. And he goes off and he said, I don't know anything about North Carolina. I'm not concerned about North Carolina. I'm in my own bubble. I only worry about my family and everything. Part of that you can say and be correct on. The way he went, it made him a full-blown fucking asshole and glad that, they lost everything. Anyway, so we were documenting this and we did a couple weeks. We focused sections of videos and then I made a big supercut, put it online today. And I just tagged him, which by the way, he liked it on Twitter and publicly posted the thing. So I'm like, fucking great. On TikTok, all I did was post a graphic, no clips, no nothing. Just says, here's the graphic we made. Here's the caption, links in the bio if you want to go check it out. All these lonely and unemployed women that are just you included, I'm sorry, all of that going on where they're sitting there and watching, they wax poetic about because they grew up on Laguna Beach and the hills. They're all supporting this guy and it's not even the video, it's just like a billboard is there and they're yelling at a billboard. And so I'm seeing all the comments and this one person wrote spell check before posting, and then she put the hashtag for whatever they are and got that wrong. So you're just right. The irony of your statement, and they lose their shit, that you're pointing that out. And this one person wrote Uranus, and I said, come on, miss, you're not that big. Love yourself. She lost her fucking mind. There was stuff I was mocking him for his lawsuit. He's suing the state of California for his house burning down. Yeah, so will everybody else, and more powerful people than him. They're not going to get a dime. You can't sue the government for something that scale and get a class action lawsuit. Like, you're going to get millions out of this. He also had a video up there where apparently a friend of his set up a GoFundMe to help them, which that looks good. To help, raise money to restore their house. He's on a video and he goes, I just noticed, and it's like, I had to call the guy up, and he says, it's $100,000. He goes, dude, I need at least 3 million. We got to change that thing, and you got to get that out there. He's like, 100,000 is not going to cut it. You put a video out there like that.
I mean, it's true. To his defense, $100,000 ain't going to do nothing as far as we go.
But you don't say that publicly.
Yeah.
You say that behind the scenes, or I appreciate what you did. We'll take, anything that's donated, we appreciate. We'll make sure it goes to this. We're going to need a lot more. There's ways of saying things and putting it out there.
Sounds like you're quite a Hills fan. Like,
no,
myself.
I've never watched the show.
Yes, you are. So I wanted to ask, Kristen Cavallari or Lauren Conrad, which would you rather?
I only know one name, and I don't know why I know the name. And that's I think it's Lauren Conrad that I think I know.
Okay.
But I don't know. From the little I'm piecing together, and I had my friend Keanu was on both weeks. Keanu Thompson, she's a comic podcaster, what have you. She knows all about this stuff. So she's piecing it together. So apparently Lauren was like the fixture of these shows, and everyone hates that woman now because she was over controlling.
I didn't really follow it past like 2008, but I did watch the show, aggressively watch the show, and I was always a Lauren fan. So just thought I'd get your 2 cents on that.
I'm looking up this other person here. I don't know.
Very hot. Very hot.
Yeah, the only reason I know her is because she was married to Jay Cutler, the Bears quarterback.
And then once they divorced, she started dating like a 23-year-old.
Nice.
So 15 years.
She's a fashion designer.
Lauren Conrad? Yeah. Lauren Conrad.
No, Kristen Cavallari.
Yeah, Kristen Cavallari is.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
But she's like, she's dirty hot. You know what I mean? Where Lauren is like wholesome, cute.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of them.
Okay, well.
I just was hopping on this because he showed up all over the place. And I go, why is this guy showing up all the time? And I just I fell into a wormhole and I got sucked in. I said, so we did 2 weeks on it. Tons of videos together. Where we ended the packages of the videos, he's still going. There's way more to that story going on. I'm like, I can't follow this anymore. I can't deal with this because he doesn't stop. But I had clips of him shitting on the people in North Carolina, him having to slum it by going to Marshall's because Heidi needed to get underwear and they had no clothes. So it's like, we had to go to Marshall's. And I'm like, oh, fuck you, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
All right, Erik.
Yes.
We met at Morning Show Boot Camp.
Yes. Reset. Let's go. Hi, guys. How are you?
Erik Nagel, E-Rock from Opie and Anthony. You got your own show now. You are so knowledgeable about the state of radio and everything that's going on. We've talked on the phone a few times, and you just blow me away with like all the stats and all the inside information that's going on that I really don't keep a pulse on at all.
There's no need to anymore.
Yeah,
None.
I know, because it's dead. But this is what I wanted to ask you, and I've been wanting to ask you this for a long time. So when I first met you, I think I was on my way to the bathroom, which would make sense. And I run into you by means of our mutual friend, Corey Dillon, who's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And she introduced me to you, and I immediately thought you were probably 26.
Oh,
and
thank
then
you.
You started saying how you were on Opie and Anthony, and in my mind, like the math wasn't mathing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this guy might be in his 40s, but he looks 26. So if I may ask you, how old are you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good answer.
You may ask me.
Okay.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you know, Erik, that we've never met face to face? Obviously,
Will. We haven't met, but I've heard of you through Anna, and then looking you up a little bit with your history in Tampa radio.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. But do you know that this is the second podcast from a radio personality that you've done in Tampa? Do you know who the other person is?
I did a couple. I did something with Drew Garabo years ago.
Oh, okay.
Because I used to know Drew from Real Radio when we worked for the West Palm Beach one, but I was also like moonlighting between Orlando and West Palm. So I knew Drew for a long time. I've done Calta's show. Who else did I do? Did I do Soul Brother Kevin?
Well, the one I'm thinking of, it was just a podcast, not radio related.
Hoppy?
Ryan Hoppy.
Oh, Hoppy, yeah.
No, we talked about Hoppy.
Hoppy is... I liked Ryan. I like Ryan. I don't want to say like past tense. I like Ryan. I don't know what happened to him. He's broken. Like he's I've heard things from the past about him, and he's a little unhinged now. That seems to be a popular thing happening to people, getting unhinged.
I mean, is that a new development? I don't think I ever knew Hoppy when he was like stable and had his S together.
When I first met him was about a decade ago, and I think he was at the Bone, and he would write to me Facebook or something. He found me somewhere, and he told me he worked for Rover up in Cleveland. I think.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
And so I knew that history, and I knew he was doing stuff with Calta because I'm friends with Calta, and so he would come up to New York. I toured him around Sirius XM. He got to hang out, and see Opie and Anthony stuff, and what have you. And I've done his show I think 2 or 3 times, and lately he's attacking people that I'm friends with. So I'm kind of sitting there. I'm like, I know he's really into radio. He's a bit of a savant for radio. He might be a bit autistic for radio, but he's doing his own thing, and that's fine. He moves around a lot between companies. I can never figure out where exactly he is. But his takes some are wild when he puts his little clips out. Some are like, that's everybody's take. That's a constructed radio take, or somebody's like, I'm going to be outraged about this topic. And you're like, okay, you wrote that, or everybody's saying that one thing. He's doing his own thing. I wish him the best. It's just it's weird when I've had friends. He went after a friend's show called Who Are These Podcasts?
I'm a avid watcher, and I watched your appearance on there.
So I was talking with Carl, and where he's like, I think this guy's a little out there. I said, yeah, he's a lot out there. And then now he's going like hard in the paint towards Carl, towards other shows and people I'm friendly with, and it's like, I'm not stepping in the middle of this. Just I'll let him do what he does. I'm not going to join in on the thing against him either, but it's just like, I just shake my head. I'm like, what are you doing? None of this is going after other people in the business doesn't generate interest anymore.
Well, I mean, that's what I was going to say is he's kind of doing what I've been accused of doing, which is just going on this rampage, because he's kind of at a point where I think just got nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah. Everyone is. They're frustrated.
And that's what I tell you with our podcast that we do, when we talk shit on people, those do really well. Those podcasts do. Well,
people love that. People love a confrontation. It's why, do you know what the Dabbleverse is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Stuttering John. It's why that does so well, because all these people came out of the woodwork after Carl started focusing on Stuttering John's old podcast, and then realizing, oh, there's more. It's not even the show that he does. That's the entertaining part. It's this guy. He is such a mess of a human being that I think Anthony said, like, if this was a character that was performed and created, he would be a multi-million. He'd win every award. This is fantastic. But that's just who the guy is. So everyone's drawn to a shit show, to a dumpster fire. Going after other people, people love confrontations, rap beefs, if you will, that kind of stuff.
Coined the term Dabbleverse or dabble something. I feel like you told me that was you coined that and they took it.
I unintentionally coined it.
Yeah.
Christy Mayer amplified it and it became a thing. But I had said John had dabbled in comedy
Oh,
like
okay.
a year or so before all of that. And then, because I think Chrissy knew that, and she said the same thing to him. She goes, "So you dabble in comedy?" And he lost his fucking mind, and that's where it escalated. So
Yeah, that's funny. You know, this
it's
is
like I knocked it up, but she gave birth to it. So
I
Right.
got you.
right. Yeah, it's kind of got you know, being in the radio podcasting business, but I think particularly with the podcasting, and I feel like that's why I have fun and like it. I kind of breed in that. I'm a natural cynic. I like to fight. I like to talk shit. It's fun. So like this is really good.
if done correctly, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's people who are fans of shows that were infamous for doing this stuff. Howard, us, Down There by You, Calta, Monsters of the Midday, Bubba, those kind of shows that were professionals at doing this kind of stuff. The fans now have become their own shows, and they think they can do all of that stuff. And some are pretty damn good at it. A lot of people just like, oh, I have access to all this. I can go do it now. And they try to do all that stuff. And you're just going, I'm doxing your phone number. I'm exposing your family. I'm making threats. I'm swatting you and all that stuff. It's like, that's not how that's done. That's legally harassing somebody that will get you in a lot of trouble. There's ways of doing it on air and online to have fun, to shit post, if you will. Shit talk, shit post. When it gets a little too real and they're like, oh, it's too real. It's like, no, you're going outside the parameters of where this is supposed to be.
Mhm.
You're a problem now. This is was a thing. Not that all this is good, but you're making it worse. And nobody wants to be involved with it when it goes out of bounds.
Yeah. Well, it's just, you know, unique how this kind of medium here with, you know, streaming live on YouTube, podcast, there is a greater listener interaction, because you could call talk radio show, and then if they don't want to talk to you, just hang up. And yeah, sure, I suppose they could tweet you and stuff, but the social media you could kind of put aside too. But like, I have a phone number set up here, 813-693-2124. If you want to leave text and voicemails, you can.
You're doxing yourself. What are you doing?
And people do that, and most of it's very nice. And this is something I wanted to bring up with you because I think it's interesting. And I already talked to Anna about it too. The psychology of people liking you and consuming your product. I've got messages from this guy, and he was so nice. So like, just like, you know, oh, we miss you on the bone. And, you know, I check out the podcast every week. I'm like, awesome, dude. Let me send you some stickers. Let me do this. All of a sudden, well, so I got in trouble with allegedly talking shit on the Bones new lineup, which I didn't do. I was criticizing the business in general because now there's no night content. Like, it's only.
Yeah, fuck the overnight replays. You should have live people. Fuck that.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be great.
You want to co-sign on that? You sure?
Yeah, right. I mean, but
I don't know what the overnight replays are. I just know probably from like 1 a.m. to 4, there's either paid programming advertisements or reruns of somebody's show that no one's really listening to.
Yeah, but I got a lot of shit from, you know, personalities on there. One guy just went to town.
He knows. He probably knows JP. JP and Roger.
Yeah, Roger from JP from Roger and JP.
Yeah, they do.
Long Island. Yeah,
they were doing mornings. Yeah, here. I'm not in Long Island, but I listened to that station when I was a kid growing up on Long Island. They were not there at that time, but yeah, I'm well aware of them.
Hannah, if you want to do, they've been on the air 20 years.
Oh. I mean, he could be like
get the approximation.
He could be 21. He could be
7. Yeah,
he could be 80. I don't know.
But and I think it comes from because it's a hierarchy, right? So, you know, JP would be much higher on the scale than me, who's probably really not even on the scale anymore. So he went from liking me to hearing JP's comments. So all of a sudden, this guy does not like me anymore, and not only attacking, like, you know, I'm fine if you make comments about the show. That's what it's there for. And I'll, you know, look at your criticism. Most of the time I throw it in the garbage because I don't really care. But sometimes people have valid criticisms that I'll take to heart of ways that, you know, things could improve here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's just like my appearance, what I look like. I'm an alcoholic and I'm fat. And I'm just like, okay, this is going
I wrote those
beyond.
things about you in that message.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah, at least tell him to his face. Be a real friend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was like, if you were in front of me, I would smack you. if you were like, I would have to. You can't let a stranger talk to you like that. There's very few people that would let speak to me like that. And the criticism is not unwarranted. But
Right.
I am
That's what it hurts
borderline
when it's full.
alcoholic.
Yeah, when it's full truth to
and
it.
I am fat. I mean, that's true. But you don't get to tell me this, sir. And I go, listen, I'm gonna block you if you're. And then the reaction.
I don't
is,
let my mom talk to me like this. I'm sure as hell not going to let you talk to me like this.
Exactly. And then I love the reactions of, oh, you can't take it. Well,
I don't have to take it.
I don't
sir.
have to. Yeah. No, I don't want to take it from you. I don't know who you are. And I think that it's interesting the connection that people kind of have with people that you watch or listen to, where you
people kind of,
no.
I don't want to say marry themselves to programs and personalities, but they get like so involved. It's almost like family to them, when you have diehard fans of anybody, whether it's like, Howard, us, Roger and JP, hell, Spencer Pratt, like I mentioned earlier, there's people that show hasn't been on in forever. And there's still people that are, sucking his asshole, thinking that he's God and going that stuff. So people get involved in something they like and they feel so invested. They are also the same people that get upset where if you took a week off of it or a week and a half off for Christmas and New Year's, when are you coming back? I'm off this week. Yeah, so are we. We've been on for about a month and a half straight without a vacation. We're taking this week off. We have families too. We'll be back at the beginning of the year. People just love what they love, and sometimes they can't separate themselves from that. Not a terrible thing, but you deal with it.
Kind of like the people you were talking about that were reaching out to you. I believe you called them lonely, sad women or something like that. It's kind of the same, but maybe the male side of that with talk radio, especially where these, much like you said, you have a family. A lot of these people don't. They don't really have any hobbies or any real friends. So they, like you said, the personalities on the air kind of fill that void. And
that's true. They do. They get really invested. They love what they love.
Personal life. They feel entitled because you talk about yourself on the air. So you're a public person in the media. And so they feel like, well, you're putting yourself out there. So I'm allowed to give you my 2 cents.
Right.
Which they are, but also you have the right to block them. Like you would do to any person in public that came up to you, go, I'm walking away from this. Get away from me. They
don't like when you do that, but it is a necessity. I have somebody that handles my stuff, and periodically, not all like every day, but periodically, that person will go through my accounts and they do whatever it is they do, and they filter stuff out for me. And then I'll hear from later, oh, I get insults from alternate accounts or fake accounts or whatever. Well, you block me, you fag or something like that. You can't handle it. And it's all these, terrible things. And you go, whoa, why? I wonder why you're thinking. I didn't block them, but I'm not saying that I didn't sign off on the other person who's going through and taking care of that for me. That's their position. That's what their job is for. And so when they get upset, it's like, well, it's like, you can't handle it. If you're a public, it's like, I can listen to it. I don't respond to you. But if you're constantly saying things like that, I also don't have to see that. None of us have to see that. We're out there. You can say what you want. I don't have to see it.
It's funny, Eric, so not to cut you off, but you've actually blocked me previously on Twitter.
Again, not me, but do you know why?
Well, this is the thing. I'm sure I was being an asshole, and this was. I might have.
Call me what?
A fag. I don't know. I might have. I don't know. But I think. See, I come from it. I was a fan of The Bone, and talk radio in general.
What's your Twitter account?
I don't have it anymore because it cost me a job, so I don't have it anymore.
Oh, right. She told me about that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So I don't remember, but I was, a radio fan and listener, and I probably was being an asshole and probably obviously said something that was block-worthy. I don't remember what it was. I mean, this is a long, long time ago, probably when you were still with O&A at that time.
Oh, then that was me, because this person's only been handling my thing for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So, if it was before that, then it was probably me. So
yeah. I wish I knew what it was.
Me too.
Probably called you a fag. That's probably what it was.
Or
Just
change the G to a T. That was probably it too. So.
or combined both. Yeah.
Because game recognized game,
Right. But it's, it's interesting, and just being in the world of, living my dream, I guess, quote unquote, of being on the radio for 7 years and kind of feeling that different dynamic. I kind of get the, like, you owe me here, and I set my phone number up, and people will sit there and make a rude comment and be like, what do you got to say now? And the fact that negative attention is also kind of still attention, right? You're still interacting
right
with them. So there's still something to be said for that, I suppose.
Yeah, there's something definitely to be said for it if you're actually going out and well, it's twofold, because one, anything you put out there is going to get negative attention, no matter how good it is, how wholesome, what your intents are. You're going to get people that don't like what you do. You'll get people hopefully that do like it, but it comes with the territory. Then there's other times where you're purposely putting stuff out there, like I did with the Spencer video earlier, where you're baiting. And you're putting it out there because that was just a topic we decided to focus on. I said, all right, we're going to troll for a little bit. We'll put this out here. We've moved on to other things now. We're not really focusing on that. It's done. It's out there. It is what it is. There are people who go out there and all they do is look to attack people. And when they get blocked or when they don't get the response or something happens, then they feel like you chose to be out here and be in the public, so you deserve to get all this stuff. You can't tell me what I can and can't do. It's my right. It's free speech. Yeah, it is. But you don't own these platforms. Free speech is a constitutional right that the government can't prosecute you for things that you're saying. That doesn't mean these corporations that own these platforms that we're on can't just say, we don't like what you're doing here. You're gone. It's free speech. Well, go fuck yourself. It's a private company or even a publicly traded company, but these are our terms of services. You violated that contract. You're fired.
Or even a person, though. I mean, like, I don't have to listen. I don't.
Yeah.
By law, I don't have to listen to you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know you. But yeah, there's some people that take that, getting that negative attention. And when they see they're blocked, for example, they go, he saw that and he got so mad that he blocked me. And there's like, the people who go blocked by in their bios, blocked by so-and-so and so-and-so.
Yeah. And that means something to them.
Right.
More than likely, if it's a really famous person, they're not really looking at their social media. They all have people that handle this stuff for them. So their people that handle their social media accounts see that and block it. I've seen software and programs where they put in keywords added to these accounts. So then you go, all right, if they're saying this about this person here, go through, and then they hit something and then it goes, it just goes and it does a mass block of people saying all of that stuff. So they're like, oh, they saw it, whatever. A really famous person didn't see it. A mid-level famous person or just a regular person, radio, live news in your local area, something like that might have seen it. They probably saw it and went, ugh, and then blocked it, never thought about it again. It's out of their peripherals. They're not focusing it on it anymore, and they don't have to deal with it and see you anymore. So you can go around saying, yeah, I really got to them. They saw it once and it blocked. That's it. You want to add that as a badge? Look at all these people I blocked. Cool. Good for you.
Yeah, it's a weird personality type.
Yeah,
for sure. You did bring up radio, and I kind of wanted to talk to you just because you had
absolutely not. I specifically said we were never to talk about radio.
Are you one of the people that are still employed by iHeart technically now?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
The company is so convoluted and bloated and so multi-tiered that you'd have no idea who works at that company anymore, unless it's an executive that constantly is putting out stuff that that executive's name, or a new celebrity signing that they brought to the company who are not technically employees, but they like to act like they are getting more attention, more funding, more support from the company than the people who actually work there, who built everything and are making all of this stuff happen. Yeah, I do kind of still work there. Every week I'm waiting to see if I get that notice that, hey, we've decided to drop your show and be done with it. Hasn't happened so far. There's been mass firing since 2019. Every time those things come around, I check in with people that I know. What, did you hear anything? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, what's going on? And I think I've been saying this for years. I feel like Milton from Office Space. I've been here so long, I still get the check, but they forgot that I work there. So I just, years ago, I stopped arguing about the live reads, any kind of sales incentives. Every time we had stuff to give away with gift cards or whatever, I was like, hey, can we get some for the staff? You know, the co-hosts of my show, they don't make much. So it's like, can we give them, we've got Dunkin' Donuts advertising on everything we do. Can I give them some Dunkin' Donuts cards? So I'm like, no, we can't do that. I stopped complaining when in end of 2019 when they said, oh, we can't use the iHeart Studios anymore. You have your own setup. You don't need to be here. We need all this stuff. All right, I can't use the utility studios anymore. No, you can't use that anymore. All right. And then the pandemic came like 4 months later and everybody wasn't using the studios anymore. I don't have a key card to go into the building. I still have to, whoever I have a meeting, they have to put me into the system to go up there to do whatever I want.
Yeah,
but
last time, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
last
go
time
ahead.
we spoke, you were talking about the pandemic, and I was saying, like, listen, this was always the direction that radio was going. It was kind of getting antiquated and outsourced by digital media. But you said that the pandemic really put the foot on the accelerator for the end of radio, because right after that, I just remember it was just slashes left, right, and center when it comes to the big conglomerates.
It started happening the fall of 2019.
Oh, okay.
And it was when, like, they've always had massive cuts, but like the first real big one that I could recall was around the fall of 2019.
Mhm.
Then Christmas happened, and as they were going into the new year, they're like, oh, there's going to be projections. There was supposed to be another round of layoffs, I think end of March.
Yeah, I remember that.
And all of that went out the window when the world shut down and everyone had to figure out how to do a radio show from home. And that really changed. It forced a policy that companies did not want to do. We, Opie and Anthony, had home studios since like the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony had a huge television studio in his place. It's like, I can patch in from here and do a show of the same quality of being in that studio. So if there's a snowstorm or something, I can patch into here and connect to Manhattan and we can still do the show all together. Wouldn't let him do it. Wouldn't give him the codecs, wouldn't give him any of that stuff to do all of that. So we've been ahead of the curve for a long time saying, you don't need to be here to do the show. We can travel more and just set up a rig somewhere and be around the country doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
Or they didn't really want to do that. They thought it was just going to cost too much. It wasn't. So pandemic comes. Now they're like, wait, we don't have to spend all this money. We could close down a lot of office spaces. We can do all this stuff here. Everyone gets this equipment. We could fire more people. You can voice track from home and you can voice track 19 stations across the country. It's got the ball rolling. You don't need to be there. We can close these offices down. You don't need to have these people in these smaller markets that we're paying full salaries. Great, because all the people in the major markets can voice track these things. It got that ball rolling when we were trying to tell them years ago, we could do this all from home and more efficiently if you let the right people do this from home. Now they force you to do it. And because you're doing that, then they now are using that as an excuse to eliminate you now. It's like, oh, you don't need to really be here. So you're gone too.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see? I mean, I remember talking with Anna about this years ago when I heard about the radio AI stuff that was going on. That I forget what they called it. It wasn't Chat GPT or Radio GPT at that time, but it was
it's that one station out in Portland or something,
yes.
right? Where they put the AI.
Yeah,
I'll look up her name.
Yeah, it was her. She was the first one, and they took her voice. And I mean, if you were doing at that point, I was like, uh-oh. I mean, if you were doing music radio at that point, you're toast.
Done.
You're toast. And then I thought, like, are they going to do it? Well, maybe it'll be a good thing for talk radio and like stations like The Bone, because now they're going to be saving money elsewhere. They can invest in real life people being live. Because when The Bone started, it was live 24/7 all the time. There was somebody in there, even 3 a.m. Fisher was in there.
Right.
So I thought maybe it's going to be a good thing. And then I thought, no, they're just going to try to use eventually AI to do some sort of talk show and have two AIs talk to each other. How far that is away, I don't know, but it seems to be moving exponentially faster now. It seems like the writing's on the wall. And who's going to consume AI product, I don't know if they're going to know all these personalities that can create an avatar, to live online. You're not going to be able to do local events per se, but there's going to be people there that don't know that they're listening to a software speak to each other.
Right. Those are the people who don't know and don't care are not the people that are listening to radio for radio. They're listening to it because it's just on in the back of the office, or they turned it on in their car while they're driving 10 minutes to go somewhere. It's playing a song. It keeps them, entertained or, busy while they're going from here to there. Those are people who are just listening to radio. They're not involved or liking radio like you used to, like to have a favorite DJ on that you would listen to in the afternoon, or a morning show, or a political talk show, any of those things for personalities. You're not going to radio for personalities anymore because they're not there. And the ones that are there still are holding on to whatever audience they can. But in the next couple of years, there's just going to be no point because all the personalities went to podcasting. And they're bringing over whatever audience they can to do their shows there because they don't have to sit there and talk in 10 to 15 minute spurts because they got to take, 6 commercial breaks an hour. They've got to, they're restricted on what they can say. And I'm not just saying, like racial stuff or anti-COVID stuff, any of that kind of, I'm saying like in casual conversation, you go, yeah, I just saw this thing that they put into law. It's kind of bullshit. Just that kind of casual conversation is how everybody speaks. And that's what's, people are looking for when you're listening to podcasts and streaming and stuff like that. You're hearing real takes, real conversation from
more authentic dialogue versus working within like a corporation or FCC guidelines.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I saw this lady walking down the street the other day and I was checking out her derriere. It's like, oh, really? That's what you're learning. I was looking at her tush. It's like, you could say, look, I was walking around. This lady had her ass hanging out of the under her dress, and it looked disgusting. That's how you're talking as a regular person, and people understand that. You're not being outrageous. You're not being whatever. You're just talking and having authentic conversation. I hate that term, authentic conversation, where people understand it, relate to it, and can reconnect to radio, to talk shows, to personalities, all that stuff. Radio is just not the place to be for that stuff. You were mentioning AI. So the AI stuff, they did it in Portland. I think it was called AI Ashley is the name of the DJ there. It was a nice little press release for a while, but you don't see many other stations doing the AI stuff. They're announcing that they have it. And from the scraps that they put online, when you listen to it, it's just like, it's very generic. There's nothing really there. It's almost like when you get those unlike news and talk stations, when they get that 1 minute of national news coverage at the before the top of the hour, where ABC News here, ABC News, and then it's just somebody reading the headlines within a minute, and then you move on. They said it effectively. You understood what they said, but there's no personality. There's no communication, give and take. That's what that AI stuff's doing. I think they thought it was going to be a great idea. It hasn't gotten any traction with it. It's not replacing people. The companies are just replacing people. The AI is not doing that. I think they're starting to realize, well, the AI personalities is not the big hype that we thought it was going to be. AI is looking more back to the functionality behind the scenes of programming and running everything rather than being the on-air presence of it. They're going to get to the point where they realize, I don't need anybody on the air. They do. Everything's pre-recorded. They pipe in little 30-second, 1 minute news hits from a national feed, and then that's it. No one's listening to music radio to hear the jocks anymore. They're just not. If you say you are, it has to have been somebody legendary that has been there that you grew up with or knew. If you just turn on to a station, you're not sitting there like, oh, she sounds good as the midday jock. No, you're not. You don't give a fuck. You maybe like a couple songs they play, and that's it. So I don't think AI is really doing much to damage the perception of radio. I think radio is doing all the damage to the perception of radio.
Why do you think that is? Because I keep seeing, I saw a Nielsen thing that, there's so much money in radio advertising. So where is this money going? Number one, and where? Well,
is that even true?
Well, you push
there
back.
It is radio advertising if done right and depending where, is still doing very well, because there are still a lot of places that a lot of rural areas and stuff too, where you're driving around big cornfields, deserts, things like that. You don't have internet service to stream everything. They're still turning on the radio and they're listening when they're in the car, if they're at a store, at work, something like that. They still have it on. It's just not the same people who would. Millions of people would listen to Howard just because he was Howard and wanted to hear and would listen longer. Now you're lucky you get 10 minutes with a person. There's a lot of people listening. They're just not listening for very long.
But there was no kind of push to develop those personalities and
Nope.
let people kind
There's
of
no farm team. Nothing. One of the things I used to love with talk radio was you had obviously your upper tier of talk, the national personalities. Then you had right below that the top personalities per market. This, like, Bubba was the big name in Tampa for a while. The Monsters were in Orlando. You had Ron and Fez down in Tampa, in Daytona, in different places, up in New York. Howard there, Mancow in Chicago, Kevin and Bean in LA. You had the big personalities. Then you had the medium markets farm team tier, I would say, with the exception of some shows like John Boy and Billy, Bob and Tom, whatever. They were filling a lot of the medium markets. But then you had the medium to smaller markets where the farm system was, where you had people who were developing shows, figuring it out, what would work. They would potentially move up to different markets within a company where they wanted to develop more things. They got rid of all those people. You're not allowed to do morning radio like you used to do morning radio. I knew so many young people that got morning show jobs about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. All these young jocks were getting morning shows in medium markets all around the country. And they were getting celebrated. It's like, oh, these people together. I mean, I don't blame those young people. And these are people like mid-20s to almost 30 getting morning shows. They're not ready for morning shows, but who are they to turn it down, right? It's an amazing opportunity.
Right? It's just a cheaper, they're young people. Yeah.
They'll do the prep services that are fed to them. They all are doing it, because I followed a lot of them and I started to see the same clips show up on their social media. They're all doing the same thing, saying the same thing, same presentations, all of this stuff.
Yeah, they're easier to control.
Right.
Instead of someone who's been there for 40 years who wants to do it their way.
Yes, one, but two, there's nowhere for them to go. And any of them that I've talked to, if I don't force my opinions on them, but if they ask, I'll tell them. I said, well, where do you go from here? What do you mean? You were doing nights in Philadelphia, or you were doing like middays in Minnesota. Where are you going? You're now doing mornings in this market here. Where do you go from here? You're 26. Are you here forever? Is this show going to last as long in its current format? Do you think it has a chance to grow? Or where do you think you go? Because they're axing people all over the place. They don't know, but they're working on it. Again, not knocking these young talent. They're doing what they can with the opportunity that was given. So around 2022, 23, these younger people were getting morning shows. This past year, almost all of them got blown out. Almost all of them were gone, axed by iHeart, by Cumulus, by whoever, fired all these young people. Where do you go now? You were just doing mornings. They're not going to put you in mornings somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know, but you can't go back to doing overnight shifts. You can't do midday stuff. You can't do all that stuff because they're not going to pay you anywhere near what they were getting paid. And they were getting paid maybe $50,000 to $60,000, maybe, for doing mornings. I'm saying maybe. I knew one person who was doing 3 different stations, and she was barely making $50,000. And you just go, when I know the struggle, the climb to want to do this business and go through. When do you say this is inhumane and this is enough? Like, I can't keep taking on more responsibilities with no pay. I can't afford to do this stuff. Right. I heard a story. I didn't know the person, but I heard a story to find out it was true. They were doing mornings at one station. She had another job the rest of the day. So she just did she has to get there like 4:35 in the morning, does 4 hours of morning radio, then goes and works her rest of her job during the day.
Yeah.
5 days a week, 6 days a week.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like, when do you live? How do you function doing this stuff?
yeah.
Well, it's like you have this desire and drive to do it. Like I know that Anna, you're probably the same way. I want to do radio since I was a little kid. That's really the only thing that I did want to do. And something about the medium of radio, I found some sort of romance in that. I mean, doing it here is great and everything, but it's not the same as just doing a radio show. So I don't know if they're aware of this. These companies are aware of it, that people will do it for basically nothing. We don't have to pay them. There's going to be people who step up to the plate to do that. And if people
that
do
doesn't
it,
help.
no, I'm not saying it helps, but I mean, if people are doing it, they're doing it of their own free will.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes for a better product or anything. I kind of thought that, Anna and I started out on the bone at night. I was saying, okay, so even if this doesn't work, I'd love to stay in Tampa and be on the air on the bone. I love that station. But if it doesn't work out, like our company has other stations in other markets, surely somebody's going to need a morning show somewhere, and I'll just go there, and work there. That was my plan. Boy, that never happened. I was still just the kind of the farm team, and now that farm team is completely gone. I mean, there is no night programming anymore.
Yeah, it's hard because, at least for me, I'm not afraid to work hard and grind, but like there has to be some semblance of a possible opportunity.
Mhm.
I don't want to grind forever to an industry.
Nighttime radio was the farm system for your local market.
Mm-hmm.
If you had somebody at your station, or they're like, hey, let's put them on at nights, let's try them out, see how they do. There might be something in our cluster we could move them to, or this could be somewhere down the line we could move them to somewhere else. Nighttime radio, and I'm not even talking like, the 6 to 10, 7 to 10 market. I'm talking like after that, the 10 p.m. on, when you would hear younger talent or people you had no idea. You'd go and tune that in sometimes. You're like, I want to see what weird shit they put on and see who these people are. That was a lot of fun, especially if you were traveling and went into other markets. Let me see who the overnight people are at the talk stations, or the hybrid music talk stations, those kind of things. Let's see what they're doing. They don't even allow you to do that anymore.
No.
They don't even allow you to do weekends anymore. We're like, hey, we'll give you 2 hours on a Saturday night when we know no one's really listening, or a Sunday night. They don't anymore. Nothing.
Yeah, I know.
There's nowhere to. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. You're aware of this, and I'm not trying to, make other people think like, oh, it's hopeless. But yeah, it's kind of hopeless right now. It's just radio is not going to respond unless it falls apart, which I think it needs to. These bigger companies need to fall apart. They need to sell off these stations to pay off the enormous amount of debt they all have. And the only way I can see that radio could have a chance at a new era is, it sounds so dumb, but it's going back to smaller owners or independent owners, maverick owners, if you will. If you get an eccentric millionaire that wanted to always own a radio station, I keep thinking this is a very dated reference, but go back. The show WKRP was one station owned in a market, owned by this guy who had rich parents, and his mom bought the station, and he was in his 50s, but he was the general manager of the station. He flipped it to rock. He took a chance. He was letting people on the air doing all they want. That kind of thing.
And his grandson is Luigi Mangione.
Yeah, that kind of thing needs to come back. Hell, even if it's like insurance companies, they want to throw their name on it like they do sports stadiums. Buy one station in a market everywhere and just say, we're going to take a chance. We're going to go after all these other companies and try to make some of it. Put weird shit on. Take chances. That's the only way radio is really ever going to have a serious chance. Otherwise, it's just going to be like what satellite radio did. Oh, I could drive from New York to LA and never tune out of the ball game that I'm listening to. I can listen to Fox News and CNN through my entire trip and never lose the signal. It's all just going to be national radio. You hear the same thing in every market. It's more cost effective, but it's also boring. You go to New York. Oh, there's Z100, the biggest pop station in the country. I go to Atlanta. Oh, there's Z100, the biggest pop station. Oh, I go to LA. Oh, there's Kiss and Z100, the biggest pop station. It's like everywhere you go, it'll just be the same fucking thing.
Well, it's antithetical too to what makes radio feasible, and that there's people who are in your town talking about things that are happening in your town. Do you have an opinion on this thing that's happening in your town? Go ahead,
Right.
it forms this little community, and you could do that online. Like we try to do local Tampa stuff, but also being online, we're kind of speaking to anybody that will listen to at this point and tune in. So they may not be interested in what's happening in Tampa. So I try to be, accustomed to that too. Yeah. Cast a broader net, but that's
even local radio got ruined by these companies, because a lot of these smaller companies like Beasley or Town Square Media, where they're all live and local. Oh, you got to post 2 articles a day on the blog, on the website, because we got to be local, hyper focused on local. They're hyper focused is that, hey, come down to the Olive and Pickle Festival that's happening in this parking lot at the municipality this weekend. Or, hey, here's what's going on with the county fair. Hey, the cheerleading team is going to be out in front of the supermarket selling whatever, to raise funds. That's their idea of being, hyper local. And being a local station means you're talking about what's going on in the town. Yes. But it's not just here's what's off the highlight sheet of what's happening, shit that you would find in the Penny Saver or something like that, where like, oh, there's a parade happening next week. Let's talk about the parade. No, who gives a fuck about the parade? Talk about how terrible parades are and why are we still wasting our money and our time with these parades. That's being local. That's talking about those things. They don't even allow you to do that. And if there are places that are allowing you to do that, for some reason, they're not getting amplified because they're getting squashed by the other companies. So there's a way to do local and be relevant, like you're saying, how you're trying to do it. That's the right kind of local. But when you see these companies or these stations, we're local. We care about our community, unless it's a hurricane happened, and they really have to, get into, grind down to talking about, hey, we just found your boat on this street in this neighborhood here. Here's the tag on it. Anybody know what this boat is? Somebody calls it, that's my boat. I've been looking for it. Like that kind of shit is about as real as it gets. Their local stuff is still bullshit. You can do local the right way. They just still don't let you do local the right way.
Do you think that the younger generation, let's say Gen Z and down, I think there's Gen Alpha or something, but especially Gen Z, say it seems like they don't give a fuck about local anything because they live online, right? I mean, I was really 2 years ago.
They do if it's online.
Yeah,
like they like people who are being influencers that will go to local restaurants around your area. They like people who are influencers that go around to local coffee shops, local whatever businesses to show you what it is. They'll view it that way in being local, but that's also putting local in a national platform, an international platform on some of these things. So it's like they have to know to find this stuff so that like, oh, I'm in that weird area between Sarasota and Tampa there. Doesn't really get much focus from the local news or the radio stations, but there's a guy who goes to all these little mom and pop hole in the wall places to show you these guys make fantastic apple cider donuts. This place over here makes ribs like you've never had. They find it that way. They're not listening to a radio show. For anything. They're not listening to radio. You just said earlier you had Nielsen research and all that stuff. No one's listening to radio under 35. None. If they are, it's because they're in a business that's playing it or they're in their parents' car that has it on. Over a decade ago, there's kids all around my neighborhood and I'm, friendly with my neighbors. And whenever they would have parties or gatherings or something, and I'd hear the kids talking about music, whatever. Oh, what are you listening to? Hey, do you ever, and this is when I was at Sirius XM. Do you ever listen to Hits One, which is the big pop station on satellite? It's supposed to be for them. It's built and geared towards them. One girl, she was 14 at the time, said, oh, that's the station my mom listens to. Okay, so do you listen to it in the house? She goes, no, it's my mom has it on the car when she's taking me somewhere. Okay. And I'm sitting there. This is like early 2010s, somewhere in there. And I go, that station is built for her generation and they're not listening to it. They think it's the station their parents listen to. And it's playing the music that they listen to. I go, that's a fucking problem. I've told management back there and they didn't want to believe me or they didn't give a shit about what I was saying. I was like, all right, it's not my station. What do I care? But I saw the writing on the wall.
I mean, is there anything that radio can really do? It just seems like the technology is outdated. one's going to go back to Blockbuster.
Technology isn't outdated. The mindset towards it is antiquated now.
Okay.
I had said something years ago. It's documented somewhere on an Opie and Anthony episode where I said what people aren't going to haven't understood yet is that they know it now, but over a decade ago, radio is just somebody else's playlist that you can't skip past. Once people realize radio is a playlist and it's not your playlist and you can't skip past the commercials, you can't skip to the next song, they're going to go, why the fuck am I listening to this when at the time it was Pandora, who was the first out of the gate with all of that. I have Pandora. I can just skip songs. I can hear an ad if I don't want to pay. And then it goes and I can make my own playlist and do all of this stuff. Then lo and behold, what happened? Pandora was going. Apple started doing their thing. Spotify came about. Now you have Amazon Prime. You have YouTube Music. All of those platforms, by the way, killing Pandora, which SiriusXM owns. It's dead last, probably just a step above Tidal at this point. But Pandora is dead in the water. Will never make a profit. Will never do anything again. People start to realize you have friends, your brother, your sister, your family will send you a playlist. And even though you trust them, you love them to death, and your sister sent you a playlist, you kind of still look at your phone and you go, do I really want to listen to that? You still have that kind of block in your head. You're like, do I really want to listen to somebody else's play? All right, I'll give it a shot. Maybe there'll be a couple of songs I can take and put on my playlist, right? Radio is far past that now. People go and it's like, why would I listen to the radio? Why would I sit here and listen to a song that I can't fast forward? I don't like this song. I'm going to sit here for the next 4 minutes listening to this song because I want to sit. What's next on this station? No, they don't. You have the apps built into your dashboard. The second, or if you have an older car, the second you plug your phone into there, boom, it recognizes your phone. Now you're off and running. You're playing your podcast, your everything you want on there. Nobody younger is listening to the radio. They're not going to. New research just came out that podcasts are now starting to age out. And podcasts have been, 20 years, maybe 10 years at most in the spotlight of being prominent and profitable. The what?
What do you think is replacing that?
I don't know. It seems a lot of.
It seems like now podcasts are bigger than ever.
They are, but the medium age just went up for podcasts. Medium,
okay.
So it's not like the people are not listening to podcasts. They are, but the average age for advertisers and people listening moved up. And that is, let me see if I even I think I have it in my folder here. I can tell you the average age moved up. And this is now somewhat of a concern for the people who only do advertising for podcasts now. Because all these radio companies, iHeart, Sirius, what have you, they're all spending $100 million contracts on podcast people to bring their shows in. All includes, they have a whole lineup of a whole roster of other podcasts under their network. They're spending all this money because all they want to do is license their these products, add their name to other existing products, and then do the ad sales. They don't want to own it. They don't want the responsibility of making it. We'll give you a check. You do all the work. We'll sell the ads. And then we'll give you a portion of that. That's all it is now. The days of a network wanting to own their own property, intellectual property, it was called. NBC, Thursday nights was must-see TV for 20 years, 80s into the 2000s. Everybody knew Thursday night. Cheers, Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier. Those were NBC shows. They were famous shows, but you knew they were NBC shows. Nowadays, if you had those shows, NBC wouldn't even be a thought. It's like, well, I can stream Friends anywhere. I can stream Cheers anywhere. They're interested in the property, not the network that it's on. And that's what happened with radio. No one gives a shit what station Howard was on. Nobody gives a shit where they're playing Joe Rogan, as long as they can still get Joe Rogan wherever it is. That's all they care about. The medium age for podcasts now is, I just had the graphic. I moved it to the right.
All podcasts, like that's
medium age for podcast now is 36. It went up. It was 32 a couple years ago. So it jumped about 4 years. Medium age for radio listeners, 46.
Yeah.
Medium age
young, honestly.
The what? I'm sorry.
I'm surprised it's that young for radio. I expected 50s or 60s.
Because the tail end of Gen X is in their 40s and the elder end of millennials are in their 40s. So this was kind of the last pocket of people who would listen to the radio because they knew to listen to the radio. People who watched network television, growing up, you always had a network that your parents watched for the news, ABC, NBC, CBS, something like that. 56 for network television. So all the shit they're putting on there now, Dancing with the Stars, The Voice, all of that stuff, younger people, unless their parents are watching, aren't watching these fucking things.
Right.
It's older people now watching this stuff. Even Netflix, with all their new stuff that they put out, they had 19 million new subscribers, so they're raising their rates, which is pissing off a lot of people. They had to put out on their research, the median age for people watching Netflix, 44. It's not even young people watching.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said about the podcast went up from 32 to 36, because it just seems like it's the exact same people, but there's no younger people listening, if that makes sense, because those
They're
people
growing
that
up with it.
4 years ago were 32. You know what I mean? The same people are listening, but just no younger people are listening.
Human mentality is when you're a creature of routine.
Sure.
And whether you try not to be, or you're like, I do all my independent stuff, you still find things that you like and only do those things. Even though you're trying to be different, you're still doing the same pattern. You're not watching what everybody else is watching. You're only watching these couple of things, but you're still only watching these couple of things. It's a pattern, and it's routine. It's a comfort. It's a way people function. You're growing up. Us, I mean, I know, I don't know how old you are, but 40?
I've just turned 40. Yeah.
40. Okay. So you might just be below the threshold, but like Gen X stuff, our parents, stuff like that, grew up watching network television. So they still watch network television. They still watch network news. They grew up with it, followed it because that's what they knew. We're same thing with radio. I mean, you guys are an exception too, but we followed radio. We listened to radio. We're still listening to radio to whatever's left until it's all completely gone. Younger people didn't grow up with radio, so they're not following the radio. They grew up with streaming stuff, YouTube. They're following all of that stuff. The teenagers now aren't even interested in what the millennial people think or what they like. Now they're looking at the people who are in their 30s to early 40s and like, this shit's crazy. Why would I sit here and watch this stuff on Facebook, or why would I do any of these things? They're all TikTok now. They watch everything through TikTok. I've seen studies where people are watching entire television shows on TikTok because there's 5-minute increments of a show, or they'll play the episode and like half the screen is somebody playing a video game and the other half is like a South Park episode. Yeah. And that's how they're watching shit now, through this, and they'll grow up with that. So it's a matter of trying to figure out, you have the content, where do we keep moving it so that we can get as many people watching it? And that's where everybody's, spinning all these plates and everything's falling apart. With radio, bring it back to what we know, they are too little too late. They're now only starting to understand what's going on, and they don't have a chance. And it's really sad, and I hate to be such a doomsday you're
a realist. It's
vision
okay.
of this, but I loved radio since I was 5 years old. I grew up in New York City, so I got to hear legendary people, legendary shows. I used to trade tapes with people around the country to hear stuff in other markets, really geeky, nerdy shit. But it's not there anymore. I don't have a radio in my house. I haven't had a radio in my house in, I think, almost 20 years. I barely listen to the radio at all. If I'm in the car, there's a news talk station that I listen to, and it gives you the news and everything within 20 minutes. And then I'm on to my phone, music, podcasts, whatever. I don't follow the radio shows anymore unless I get their on-demand content. I'll go and download their show later in the afternoon, and I'll skip through it and listen to it there. But there's nothing there to keep us there. The content will always be king, as the term goes. It's just a matter of putting it in the right spot where the people are. If you don't move with the people, you could say here, it's like, well, this is how we always did it. Great. Well, keep doing that. Nobody's making money anymore. Here's a little insider information for you. Not fully publicly known yet. MTV is getting sold in 3 months. MTV. Paramount announced last month that Comedy Central, MTV, and I think 1 or 2 other stations aren't worth it for them anymore. They're not making the money. The Daily Show, even though Jon Stewart's back once a week, is not generating enough to keep that thing going. South Park didn't even put out a season last year because they didn't need to. They focused on 1 episode for the streaming platform. They'll have 6 more episodes coming later this year, but it wasn't a priority to rush to get it to television because it'll be there. The audience will be there on the streaming platform. So they didn't care. They're selling MTV in 3 months. It's going to be gone. They could rebrand it. Somebody else could take it and try to revitalize it. Who knows? But cable television doesn't mean anything.
Like the early 80s. It's been around for like
83 it launched. 1983.
I was growing up when I was around.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was such a crazy big brand, and now it's just dissolved.
It's all about doing like what you guys are doing. You found a new place to do your content. Work on doing your content. Work in making your show as good and as great as it can be. Take the time, work on the content. Then you can start building the studio, getting better equipment as you get along, get more comfortable. It's a process. You can't just start with $1 million studio and everything and be expected to go. You got to build your way up.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything is DIY until you can get a podcast company to invest in you, or you can get some other company that goes, hey, we want to take you on and do advertising for your show. Perfect. That's how you make your deals. You build up that way. Now the bigger places that are falling apart will say, hey, we'll throw $50 million at you to take your show. You have a contract with us for 3 years. We do all the ad sales. You get a percentage of that plus the money that you get. Okay, great. Now they license the show, but you still own it. For 3 years, you're just working at that place. Then you can sell it again somewhere else. It's what Rogan did. It's what Alex Cooper did. She left Barstool. If you don't know her show, Call Her Daddy. Biggest female podcast.
Today. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, she's killing it. Just got signed Mysterious for $125 million.
Yeah, she left Barstool, went to Spotify for a big deal. Sirius swooped in, $120 million for her and her podcast network. They just started this week. And she's there for the next couple of years, made $120 million. That covers her, the operating costs for her podcast, paying her people, whatever. And then she gets a percentage of the ad sales that they put on the podcast when it goes out there. That's the way the world is now. Thinking that I'm going to get a morning show and I'm going to be on the radio. Be great if you can find it. It's very few and far between, but unfortunately the money's just not there, and their interest from these companies are not there because they don't fucking pay attention to what the next thing is or who good talent is.
So are they, since money is coming in from that Nielsen research, where is it going? And I understand that, it seems like I cuss the program director out, this guy in Naples.
That helps too.
Yeah, I mean,
he
but
knows who it is.
At this point, oh, you know who it is?
Well, he knows the guy who took his spot.
Oh, I worked with that guy. Yeah.
Okay. And
wait, is it the guy that I'm thinking of?
JW?
Oh, no. I'm thinking of the other.
The morning show. I asked you about the host.
Yeah. Him. I know.
Program director. Maybe you. I'll text you.
I'll just say it. I don't care. This dude, Jeff Wolf, part of Sun Broadcasting down in Naples, had a morning show. Naples is pretty close to us, like hour and a half away.
Yeah,
I know the area.
Anna's beating down his door. I'm beating down his door. I had just landed that job in Wilmington. Obviously didn't go well because they found my Twitter account.
Right.
But I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity. I'm here. I'm young-ish. I'm 40. I think I might be a good fit here. So I couldn't even get this fucker to talk to me. Just wasn't answering phone calls, was not doing emails, nothing. I sent him demos. Hey, I got a job based on this demo. Can I just talk to you for a few minutes? Then I find out he wants to hire initially another personality who worked on the Bone. And then I'm thinking, dude, I'm perfect. I have the same vibe that he's looking for. And then I find out he hires the fill-in on that show, which no disrespect to that dude. He's worked
with Opelka.
Okay.
He's great. Yeah, he knows him. And Opelka's great. He's awesome. Super cool guy.
But he's 70 something years old. So that means how many years are you going to get out of him before you're looking for a new person? I'm right fucking here and willing to come there and do this job. This is something that you could build a brand off of for.
And you're also way more local than.
Or, if you would have got, that would have been great either way. Or ideally they would have sandwiched us together and they could have built this brand for the next 25 years, being in Naples. And just, I don't understand the rationale of not even entertaining that and thinking about that. And the guy's not like an old guy. He seems like he's probably in his mid 40s, early 50s from his LinkedIn profile. What the fuck are you doing? And eventually once I found out he hired that dude, I was just like, you
want to read him the email?
Yeah. Do you want to hear it?
It's worth it.
Sure.
Okay. I got to pull it up.
It's like all the frustration we've been experiencing over the last 5 years in an email.
But it just makes no I don't get it. I know there's things, I don't know what I don't know, but what the fuck? I mean, let's see. Oh no, it's not there now.
I mean, I definitely
Wait, is
have
his
it
name?
saved.
Is it what's
Jeff
his name?
Jeff Wolf.
Okay, that is it. All right. Oh boy, this is bad for.
I do enjoy throughout the period of our conversation here how Anna keeps disappearing into the background.
Yeah.
It's been rather fun to watch.
I do have to get a green screen here at some point. Well, for some reason it's not in here, Anna. Okay, here it is.
Got it? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, I understand you made a hire for the position. I gotta tell you, no disrespect to the current broadcaster there. He's great at his job, but he's old. you've had two people who live here knocking down your door, hungry for an opportunity to experience in the Tampa market, and you couldn't be bothered. You could have had years to develop a brand for a station. Instead, you hired a 70-year-old man who has no connection to the area and lives in another state that you'll have to replace again in a few years. Way to go, dude. Keeping radio local.
Right.
And I got no response, believe it or not.
So it's an I don't know the company. Is it an independent company? Do they only own those stations?
Sun Broadcasting, probably a smallish.
Well, hold on. Because of the person they were going to hire before Opelka, I know who this is. I can tell you off the air. They have deep pockets, is what I was told. They have a phenomenal facility, and they're actually like moving to an even better one. Like they're building an even bigger and better facility in Myers. And apparently they have deep pockets from my inside source.
It could have been this guy you're emailing. He's what, the program director, you said?
Yeah.
It could have been the owner's decision. It could have been the owners that have a certain
maybe, but why
like mentality.
Listen, I thought it's like a Fox station or something, a Fox affiliate.
It is.
So I thought maybe I'm not their cup of tea. Like I get it because they probably, I would assume, looked into me. Oh, you worked at the Bone. Okay, that's kind of like a edgy kind of station. Maybe it's not for us. But then when I heard they wanted to hire the guy they wanted to hire, I'm like, oh my God, then this is, great. They ended up not being able to hire this person because of his just history in life, not only his Twitter account, but his history.
The HR ladies did a dive and didn't like what they found out. I'll text it to you, but don't say it out loud.
No, I won't.
So, at that point, obviously that was kind of a dumb move. I'm sure he'll never even entertain it, but he wasn't entertaining it.
That's exactly who I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. That he was hired. He told me, I know this because I did a show with him. I filled in for a Philly station, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And he obviously off the air told me what happened with that he got the job. It was done. I think he went to the facility. Everything was cool. And then the HR ladies decided to do a little bit of a deep dive, and they weren't happy with what they found.
Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking.
It was. So,
I
mean, it's one of those things. You can
just got your text.
You can lead a horse to water, but so I don't know what the fuck is going through their mind. But that was such a, oh, you idiot, you fool.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah, well, you're never really going to know the complete answer for all of this. It could be a whole bunch of different things. I don't know if it was a matter of you getting badmouthed, so that changed their decision, or that he didn't want to entertain it, or he just had something in mind, or again, the owners may have had something in mind to go that direction. If they're a Fox affiliate, hiring Opelka for their morning show kind of fits into that realm, considering he's been doing that long. I mean, since he left working for Opie and Anthony and KTU in New York, he went full into conservative talk with the Blaze and Fox and some other things. So yeah, he fits what they were trying to go to, and probably cost effective because he can produce.
But sorry, not to cut you off, but with the other guy that they were going to hire, I mean, it's just such a different.
Yeah, it's such a contrast between the two. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't really have an idea of the mentality. For one person, yes. The other person, I don't know why, other than they thought maybe he was a name that would generate some attention for it. But then the hype that's generated around that name that they obviously found out, like, yeah, that's not the heat that we want. So, I don't know. Radio is it's not even a fickle business. Radio is just, it's either predictable or an enigma at the same time, and neither is working for them. So
It sucks.
I hate to be that guy that says, it's probably a blessing, but you never know. Maybe that was not the right place to be.
Yes.
With the bright future of radio ahead, will you be attending morning show boot camp this year, Eric?
I am not.
You're not?
I'm not going anymore. No.
Two reasons. Probably 38% of the whole reason why I would go.
Two reasons.
Big chunk.
One, all the young people, the future of this business they were celebrating, almost all of them fired.
All the people on the panels that they
were celebrating, the new ones to watch, whatever.
Radio.
They were all fired. Almost all of them.
Fired at the conference. Like while they were at the conference, we're getting messages.
When we got to San Diego, Sirius was doing some firings. When people left the conference that Monday morning, iHeart did a whole bunch of firings. So it was the plague that was surrounding that conference. Was that, holy shit, Sirius just let it go a bunch of people. There's rumors of other companies, and then Monday, a lot of people came back from that conference to walk into their stations, only to be brought to a conference room telling them that they were done. So that's one of the reasons.
Fired and stuff from like a weekend of meeting people, and then they don't have a job.
Yeah, they all went to a conference that was supposed to be about networking and celebrating radio and working to make radio better, and these companies fucked it all up for everybody. So one, all those panels with a lot of those young people, the future stars of radio, all have been fired. So that's disheartening. Number two, these conferences, and I like the people who go there. There's generally a lot of nice people that go to these things.
Yeah.
But when you're celebrating, especially now, when there's panels hosted by people that are responsible for all of these firings, and they're sponsoring events for these things that are responsible for all these people being fired, and awards being given to people who are responsible for all of these firings and the way radio's fucked up, I can't shell out money to go to these things anymore, to celebrate these people who caused radio's problems in the first place. I don't want to be part of it anymore. And it's not for a lack of the organizers per se. They're very nice. The people who attend there, a lot of the radio people are very nice. It's the companies that get involved, the self-grandiose presenting of awards, the ones that need to host panels. A lot of them are the fucking problems with this business, and even more so in the last year. And I'm not going to go there to celebrate any of this stuff with those people. I'm sorry. It's just, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great place, but not anymore.
It was my first one, and it may be my last, but
I'm not saying you can't go. Please, if you feel like you want to go.
No, I know, but I'm just talking about like money wise. It might be a bit of a stretch this year. So
how do I put this? Before I met you and I knew who you were, before Corey introduced us, I saw you sitting somewhere, and I was like, that's odd. That lady's just sitting there by herself, and it seemed like she didn't know anybody.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, maybe I should go say hello. But I had other people with me at the time, so I didn't get a chance to. Corey introduces later, so we're talking for a little bit, and then we realize, who each other are, who we
O&A, and like my eyes lit up,
who we all worked with.
Bubba the Love Sponge, and your eyes lit up, and then it was like this instant understanding that we were not like the others.
Yeah,
we were not like the music radio people. We were in a league of our own.
This is where it went. So she was with us for the rest of the day.
Delilah was on stage, and we didn't even give a fuck. We just like went to the room, and not to the room, to the lobby, and just chatted it up and talked about
this. And then you came. We did our show live from the rooftop of the hotel.
That was really fun.
You came and hung out. Yeah. Then you came with us as we went driving around San Diego, because I don't get Jack in the Box on the East Coast, so I wanted Jack in the Box and other West Coast, I'll call them delicacies out there. Yeah. And she came along with us. She goes, "Are you sure you don't mind me coming here?" Because she slouched down in the back seat of the car. She's like, "I feel like I'm a problem." It's like, no, you're not a problem. You're fine.
Yeah, that's her MO. She still does that to me. I've known her for 10 years now. She still do it to me. She thought she made an ass out of herself on the podcast. I remember her telling me about it, and I watched it. I was like, oh shit, Anna made an ass out of herself on this podcast. Let me check it out. I thought she did fine.
She
Great.
did fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're always our own worst critic, and in my mind, when it was happening, I'm like, "Wow, this is so fun. This is why I do what I do. I'm so good at what I
I'm
do."
not falling for her baiting bullshit. I'm terrible. I'm not good at these things. She
And then
wants me to
watching-
turn around and go, yes, you are terrible. You're not good at any of this. I don't know why you're here.
Yeah.
I was not going to do that to her.
That's just, well, right. I say that to myself enough, but upon
You
watching
know,
it,
and we let you. We kept letting you. She would say stuff, and then we never would correct her. We would just let her. It's like, all right, she's going to sit there and sink into her own whatever.
yeah,
Hey, we're here at Jack in the Box. Would you like a patty melt? Would you like an egg roll? Something like that. Well, I'll pay for it. No, we got it. You go be self-loathing. We'll pay for the food. It'll be fine.
What did she get? What was her meal?
Oh,
Do
I
you
didn't
remember?
get anything.
I don't think she really got anything.
Yeah.
I got a little of everything because I never have Jack in the Box. So I got a little, and most of it's awful, but some of it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we do. I gotta get going. Eric, thank you so much for your time. I have one more question. This is from our chat. Feel free not to answer, but since I am an avid Who Are These Podcast listeners, and I know that this is a new, well, not really new person on the radar, but the Opester, your former cohort there.
Yeah.
They want to know, does E-Rock still consider Opie to be his radio hero now that Opie is unleashed in NYC?
No, I consider it a very hack question, considering everyone has asked that for years, and I've said in many places what the exact answer is. But what I'm not being a dick. I'm just being cute. Yeah, you're watching somebody. I'm trying to be really nice about it. You're watching somebody personify mental illness and a breakdown and publicly putting it out there as his version of entertainment, and it's really just coming off pathetic and sad. And best of luck to him with what he's doing, but I haven't talked to him in years. He doesn't want to have anything to do with any of us, so that's fine. That's his decision. I don't really focus on him. I don't care what he's doing. I think it's ridiculous clips get brought up and presented. We did a thing on Who Are These Podcasts where he talked about how he regretted ever doing Opie and Anthony, and he thought that he wasted his youth. And I had to scream at the camera. I'm like, you were 40 when this happened. You didn't waste your youth while you're sitting 500 feet above Manhattan with a palatial apartment and looking out over the Hudson River and millions of dollars. And you're saying, I wasted my life. I should never have done this show. I would have been much happier. Then open that window and jump. What do you want me to tell you?
That's what I was going to say is I love this stuff. I like I like shit talking. I like people talking shit about other people. It's content that I consume when I'm talking shit or having shit talked about me. Those episodes, like I said, how we started at the beginning, tend to do a little bit better. I am concerned though that some of these targets like Ope, like Stuttering John, they're gonna end up just fucking killing themselves because they're just constantly bombarded. I mean, it's a lot.
No, I don't worry about that with Opie. He would never give anyone this.
It's like Teflon, you know.
He would never give anyone that kind of satisfaction, but he would never do that. He's unstable, but he's not to that point. You know, he's grounded in a lot of ways. He's got a family. He's got stuff going on in his life. If he had no family, if he wasn't married, if he was just a single guy like Stuttering John, I'd be worried about him, but I'm not. He'll be fine. He's just delusional. John, on the other hand, is delusional in every other way. He is bully, everything that everyone's ever said about him. He's exactly that. He can't take any responsibility. He's wet-brained from all his years of substance and alcohol abuse. He doesn't remember half the shit he says and everything. He thinks that he's smarter. I've seen people like this, and it's always been older people. It was like the older generation when they try to pull all this stuff off. They think they're tough guys. They think they're smarter than everybody. Really dumb people have to over-explain everything they do and have to seek attention and qualify everything that they do. Smart people don't say anything. They do what they do. They don't explain it. They don't brag about it. If somebody talks to them about it, confronts them about it, then you discuss it, but they don't bring it up. They just do it. They live their lives. They do their work. They do whatever. Those are the smart, successful people. They're the rich people. They're whatever. The people who are screaming from a megaphone, constantly yelling about how great they are and what everyone's doing wrong and all this other shit, they're the ones that are projecting. They're the ones that are mentally disturbed. They're the ones that will never have what they have. He lucked his way into so many great things, fucked everything up. His family, his career, everything, his money, and this is what you're left with. And this is his last ditch effort at being celebrity, as he likes to put it. Yeah. So I'm there to watch. I enjoy Rico's show. I enjoy Carl's show, Tukey Soup, all the people that go out there and do the hard work, the grinding, the putting those packages together about that. I love sitting there and watching it being documented in real time like everybody else. It's television for me. I have no sympathy for the guy. I don't wish him the worst, but I'm not wishing him the best either. And if the worst happens, it's just going to be like, oh yeah, I kind of expected that. Or yeah, I knew that would happen.
It's so interesting to me though that like he's giving people, I wouldn't say careers necessarily. I don't know what Carl, if he has a day job or whatever, but those shows talking about him,
they've got some nice pocket money from this.
Yeah, beer money. Yeah, have more views than like his show. Like people are watching them to watch him get trash rather than actually watching his content. Isn't that fascinating?
It's essentially the Truman Show, but Truman knows that what's happening and is not doing it's like Truman knows what happened and didn't go to change it to make his life better. He said, what? This is all constructed. This is all. Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to lean into this, and then forgets that what's going on half the time, and then realizes what's going on and does nothing about it. Forgets again. It's rinse, cycle, repeat.
Yeah.
All the time with him.
It's fun. It's fun. Eric, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you, my friend. Hopefully you come back and do it again.
Yeah, let's come back and talk non-radio stuff.
Okay.
Let's talk about anything else that you guys want to talk about.
Love it. Love it. Eric, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Can I plug my stuff before?
You can.
You can find my show. It's Erik Nagel, iHeartRadio app, Apple, Spotify, all of those places that you get your on-demand content. All the videos are up on YouTube. It's Erik Nagel. And if you want to join us live as we do the show every week, either like, follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Twitch channel. You can watch us there live, participate in the chat, throw money around, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. All under It's Erik Nagel. Social medias, everything, all one word. It's called branding. It's all that right there.
Awesome. Perfect. Eric, thanks, buddy.
Have a good
night,
night.
Thank you so much. I'd love to come back again. Have me on sometime.
For sure.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking 2 hours we just did. Over 2 hours and 15 minutes. Well, that was great to finally get him on the show. I would like to get guests more often. They're just so hard to nail down.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he finally was able to make it. That was fun. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Garrett, for the super chat there. And we'll talk to you. Well, who knows when we'll definitely be back next Wednesday. I can tell you that at 6 p.m. But, we have been popping on lately here or there. willsyoutube.com, hmbradio.substack.com, which you can get the whole show uncensored. That's going up right now. I'm going to download it and put it up. Or if you missed it, you're audio only person, you can get the show early before the podcast listeners do if you sign up to the Substack, hmbradio.substack.com. Anna's still off social media, right? Not doing that?
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Good. I'm on Twitter, kind of. HMB Radio, HMB Tampa Bay, I think it is. If you want to follow there, I just post.
So traumatized.
Yeah, I just post, clips and stuff. And Instagram, you can find me home_made_man. Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.